Good afternoon. Welcome to Board of Adjustment. It's 1:30. We've got a quorum, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. Next item on the agenda is to receive the minutes. Do you have a motion on that?
I move that the minutes from the April 2nd meeting be received.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Cast your votes.
Almost pressed it.
All right, the minutes are received. I don't see any requests for a continuance. And is there anyone in the audience that needs to request a continuance or deferral of an item? I don't have a consent docket, so Cindy, if you'll call the first one, please.
We have item number 1, case number 16189, is a request of Aiden Garcia for a variance to the accessory building regulations and bulk standard regulations in the AA Agricultural District, located at 5705 Northeast 63rd Street.
Is the applicant here? Oh, come on up. Use the microphone and give us your name, address, and tell us about your application, please.
Hello, my name is Aiden Garcia. I live in 5705 Northeast 63rd, and I did put in an application for the variance.
Okay. Nobody signed up to speak on this one. Does anyone want to address the board on this application? Okay. Questions, comments from the board?
Just a few things on the application itself and the number of variances. So you're asking for multiple different variances on this. The actual structure itself, so the height, the size, the materials that were used, and then the setbacks. And I will say, for me personally, I can't get behind giving you a variance for the location of that building being behind those setbacks so far. And so I would not be in favor of granting those variances, the size and itself being, I don't know how many, 2 or 3 times bigger than it can be. The height being higher than it can be for an accessory structure, and then also the setbacks. There is a variance for the size of the individual lot, 5 acres, and so I could get a variance for that. But, so, I don't know, what my other board members feel about that, but it's just such a large amount of variance on that property for that building.
Yes, sir.
I think it's 0.8 of an acre, the existing lot.
Yes.
So, Sarah, can you help me out on that?
Sure. Sarah Welch, Planning Department. I didn't know if you wanted to kind of tell them the situation with how the building's already there and how it got there. Did you want to explain that to the board? Yeah, you want to? You're shy.
So we purchased this building on Chills with a person that sells the building, and he had told us that we didn't need a permit for us to put the building there. He said he always sells them like that, and he just told us for the address, and we gave him the address, and he said, yeah, this address doesn't need a permit. So then, everything started, and the building's already there.
Right. Is it on a concrete foundation?
Yes.
And so I'll say, they came to staff because when they did try to get a permit, you can see what was found on during the permit is that the size exceeded the allotted size and the setbacks were too close to the property line. Those were the two things that were identified during the permitting process, but while we were speaking, we identified a potential issue with the lot size because it wouldn't meet our conditions to get deed approval. So we thought there would be, at staff's recommendation, we added that. And then we went through the accessory structure regulations just to make sure there weren't any other issues. And we discovered that the height and the material would likely not comply. And so in order to help the applicant avoid coming here to fix the two things that have been identified so far, we're the ones who, staff's the one who added the other variances to the application.
And I'll say this, really, if you're willing to move the structure and get it within the 25-foot setbacks on your property, I could get behind the variances for the height and the size. Being that close to the property line in that configuration, for me, it's just too much.
We wouldn't have the funds to move it, so that's why we did the variance. It's in our backyard. It's not bothering, any neighbor or anything.
Any other questions or comments?
So the only thing you can't get is electricity to it, right? Or
What was that?
you were trying to get electricity to it through the permit,
Yes.
and there's no electricity to it right now?
There is electricity.
There
right now.
is?
Yes.
So you're really just trying to get it in conformance? Because you're using it, it's there,
Yeah.
it's just not permitted. You're not trying to sell the property or anything like that right now?
Could we consider a term?
Time to move it? I mean, for me, I just think that, maybe grant the other variances, don't grant the setback. They then can move it on their own when they can, if they were to ever sell the property or anything else.
But where does that put them? I guess where would it put them? Where would it put them right now? Would they lose now that it's been identified? And correct me if I'm wrong, but does the city not have a process where if it stays non-conforming, if they've not been given a variance, that they would lose access to utilities?
For the building or for the whole property? I mean, I
I just
Yeah.
know in other situations when an issue is not rectified, that's one of the remedies that
the city would
will
use
employ.
to try to get the situation rectified. I agree. I mean, to work with the building without power, still viable. I think that's the only utility that's going there.
Part of me thinks that if we want them to move it, that the person who sold it to them should be brought in to pay for those costs. I mean, that's the frustrating part in this, right? Like, there's a bad actor here that needs to be brought in.
Yeah, I agree. It's similar to the manufactured home case that we had. We've
Yep.
seen this a couple of times where, yeah, that guy's long gone and they're stuck holding it, so. Like Don, I don't want to just say, okay, it's fine. I think that opens up a very negative precedent, but I want to try to help them. You said it's not something that you can afford right now, but you're not planning on selling the property.
No.
What, do you guys, is there a timeline or a game plan that you feel would work for you?
Well, the thing is that I had the money at the moment because I had sold my first house, so everything was so easy. And now there's like, I think it's impossible to, we're talking about cement, rebar, planning, doing everything, which, like picking up the building with a crane. It's just, I don't know, like, I don't even know if it's.
Well, because of the multitude of variances, right? It's too big for the property. It's the material is too much metal siding, and it's too tall. So there's just, it's almost like you need to take it down.
I understand,
I mean,
but the thing is that it's been standing there for like almost 2 years now, and out of the blue, just I have
right. But
CD
whenever
on it.
you do build anything, I mean, especially something that's permanent structure, it's going to need utilities. It has to be permitted. I mean, you should have got a permit from the foundation. As soon as you got a permit, you would have been then aware that you could not locate it there.
Yes.
And so it's supposed to be 25 feet from both those property lines. It's 6 foot from one and 4.5 from the other. And then with that height, it's not that the existing neighbors are okay with it. It's that if the existing neighbors were to ever sell their property to someone else and it's sitting right there that big in that corner, it's just not right.
So the notes say that for that size lot, the maximum structure is 1,250. This one's 1,500.
Yeah.
Could you buy enough land to make it so that the maximum structure is 1,500?
I mean, if you
And then we can give them a variance on the,
well, right. I mean, you have to buy his neighbors. It's just, I think it's just easier, not to grant the setback to me, and then not make a decision for them on what to do to fix the problem. Gives them a multitude of options.
is that even an option? Buying your neighbor's land, the strip of land from your neighbor?
I mean, if it would be nice if they would.
They
be willing to,
consider it?
but it's not something that like I could buy tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, it doesn't solve the setback.
Right.
Well, unless they bought.
Enough,
Yeah.
right.
I mean,
Buy it as an error.
Well, I think that that would potentially solve a setback issue if they were able to purchase enough, but you would make the other lot also more non-conforming.
The surrounding people.
Because it would have to be the lot to the,
north?
And the west.
the west lot, because the west lot has to sell, it has to make an L around their property.
I like your idea, Marcus, though, of making this for a term of 3 years. I'm saying you've got 3 years to
If
come
we
up with-
leave the application open, rather than write in board order for a time limit, then they have a open application.
I see what you mean.
Just to try to keep
give them.
to alleviate the utility issue is what I'm trying to do. And still give them a time to get it in conformance, or as much in conformance.
I mean, that's the direction that I'm leaning, either or, basically whatever accomplishes the goal of providing them time to find a solution without just signing off on this, albeit, it wasn't, there were other parties involved.
I'm just curious, the person that sold it to you, are they still around and did they run off?
It's a legit company. I don't know.
It's on 66 and Chills.
I'm just wondering if,
That's,
There's like a lot of like
what's the cross street?
from the school.
It's
The
like,
Shields and,
it's Brahms and then like
No, it's by the like a middle school or elementary school, and on the
in
corner.
front of Southeast.
Webster.
oh,
Right across
I
the
was
street from
wondering if it
Webster.
was, it started to
The
sound like the
trailer
same one as the last time.
It potentially could be.
if we leave it open though, it gives the applicant time to go back to them and say, we're in non-conformance and taking small claims or something. I don't know.
I mean, I already confronted the guy. I already told him what happened, and basically he blew me off.
Oh, yeah. No.
That's what he did,
What'd
and
you
the
say-
assistant did too. His
What-
secretary.
What'd you say the current use of the structure is for now?
It's just personal use, just like, like, hey, hells, and I put my cars in there, or, just little things. My kids use it to go skate, they just,
So the hard part is in granting the variance that one of the factors is it would be the minimum necessary to alleviate the unnecessary hardship. I don't feel that granting any of the variances at this point because the person who needs to fix this is the person who installed it and sold it to you. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to go through the legal process or get them to agree somehow, and it sounds like the only way they're gonna agree is by going through the legal process. I just don't feel comfortable granting this without pursuing those avenues. So I don't know how we can help the applicant not have to come back, pursue those before we vote on this. Or if we grant it for a year so that utilities remain there for a year and then it gives them a year. I don't know.
I'm fine with not granting anything as long as the status quo remains. They
Right.
simply can't get a permit for the electrical.
And that's what
It didn't have a
happens, right?
permit. That was the
As long as
impetus
the
that
case
triggered
is
it.
still going, yes.
It's,
So an ongoing case would then give utilities a reason to not pursue pulling them, I believe.
yeah, I just don't want to make their
Right,
process.
and I don't want them to have to come back and pay another application fee to change the application. That's why I was going to just leave it open maybe and just ask 6 months deference and something like that.
The other thing that I like about that is, to Roberto's point, I mean, that's enough time to begin litigation. And if they come back here and say,
You've-
hey, we're in pending litigation, I'm inclined to give them an extension to see it finished.
Yeah. So you understand and all that? Like, you have to take action on this, but if we leave this, if we defer the case for 6 months, it gives you time to start an action on multiple different fields. You can sue or attempt litigation against the people who sold it to you. You can move it on your own. You can do other things that will then create a better situation for you today. Because just like Roberto said, there's a minimum standard to grant the variance, and I don't think that you've reached it just because.
So basically, you have to take it down, or they're gonna give you 6 months for you to like move it, or sue the guy for.
but in that particular case, if I do like, go talk to the guy, obviously, my word is not important enough. He just blows me off. You know what I'm saying? Like, just
Yeah, you
runs
have
away.
to get representation.
Yeah, essentially, it would give you enough time to reach out to an attorney and find out what options that the attorney can advise you that you would have, what options for relief you would have given the situation.
In those 6 months, like, we would have to like get everything situated and then take it down, or like?
It just buys you time to find a solution. So in that 6 months, you can reach out to a law office and visit with an attorney to find out what legal options you may have against the individual that sold it to you. If as on the advice of your attorney, there's nothing there, there's no path forward, then you can use that time to determine if you want to tear it down or if you want to try to move it. Essentially, I'm speaking for myself, and you heard their opinions. It sounds like that there's no path for getting a variance for this indefinitely. So we are willing to consider ways to give you more time to find a solution, but to grant the variance on the basis of the conditions of what you've got here is not going to be sufficient.
And I'll speak for myself. I'd like to know in 6 months if you are able to reach out and talk to an attorney so that your legal options are given to you and you can't still find a solution, bring that back to us. And I mean, I would be willing to consider another 6 months. I mean, I think we're willing to work with you under the circumstances, because I think you've been dealt a raw deal right now. And so, but I think that you've got to pursue those legal actions, because and they're going to do this, it sounds like, to somebody else. So that's the concerning problem right now. Sarah?
I was just going to just note, staff probably would recommend a shorter deferral, and then we always have the ability to defer it again. But if we defer it out to October at this point, and they're able to, for instance, find a way to move it, and they still need all those other variances to get approved for their permit, they won't have an opportunity to come back and ask you for that if we set it for a date certain. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm fine.
They would almost have to reapply for a new variance in order to come back to see you sooner. So,
I guess it would just depend on how likely they felt. 6 months is not a long time for legal action, and if they don't feel that they have any way to move it before then, I'm okay. I'd do 3 months, whatever.
That's fine.
3 months.
Yeah.
th. Right.
Yes.
So we would defer the case till August 20th, give you till August to take care of whatever you can try to do, and then come back and see where we stand.
That's 4. That's 4 months.
Is that 4?
Yeah.
5?
So
July, well, we only have,
We have one meeting in July.
one
right?
meeting in July, correct? Which is
16th.
July 16th, which is 3 months.
Okay.
Okay.
We good?
Yeah,
I'll
ready
make a motion then that we continue case number 16189 to the July 16th, 2026 meeting.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, July 16th.
Item number 2. Case number 16192 is an application by Tracy Terry on behalf of Scott Wilson to allow home sharing at 6306 Christian Court. And this case has had written protest.
Go ahead, give us your name and address. Tell us about your application, please.
Do you need the address of the location we're talking about?
Office address.
Okay. My
Or
name
your
is
home,
Tracy
whatever's
Terry.
easiest for you.
The addresses in question are 6306 Kristen Court and 6308 Kristen Court, Oklahoma City.
We'll do each case
Individually?
individually.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we're going to start with 6306.
Okay. We are just asking for a special exemption to continue to use these as Airbnb locations. They have been Airbnb locations since 2019, but they fall months short of being grandfathered in to not being in this room. There were previous managers for it's actually Mr. Simons, because he was married to Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson is deceased. Mr. Simons is the sole proprietor owner now. And, sorry, just taking a breath. So they have been operated as short-term rentals for a considerable amount of time. They just don't fall into the few months that you could go prior to that. We do understand that there are neighbors that do have complaints. To my knowledge, my own personal knowledge, I've only been managing this property since September of last year due to management previously that was not enforcing the rules that Mr. Simon has in place. He asked them to leave and he brought me on. At that time, during that very instance, there was a guest in there that we did call the police on, and we did have them leave because they were not following the rules that we have for the home. There is a question about parking. We have two separate garages. They are not connected. They do not share the vehicles. At the time the home was built, they were carports for two vehicles. Today's cars are larger, so sometimes only one vehicle can fit in there. If it's a smaller car, they can put two vehicles. However, there is only one pathway that you may drive around to those two garages. Had there been two separate families that lived in there, they would still use the same access. We do say in our rules that they are offered one parking lot per unit as needed if they use one parking spot in the cul-de-sac parking. There are 6, I think, there could be more, but as I counted, I think there were only 6 available. We have doorbell cameras or video options so that that were in place after the last incident for that very reason. I do believe the police were called. There was a door glass pane that was broken. At the time that that happened, they did not call us in the middle of the night. The police did not reach out because there were people on site that they spoke to. I do believe they possibly reached out to the neighbors. I don't know if that was the case or not. Mr. Simons also recalls that a few years back, there was an incident where he was made aware there were some type of surveillance going on for his 2 properties. So he made contact with the detective that was on the scene surveilling. I'm assuming that's what he was doing. And the guy told him that there was a tip called in and they were just observing. That later, he talked to them 6 times over the course of this day. He said later that they told him they had stopped people leaving the residence. They had found nothing on them for any reason to arrest them, and that Mr. Simons also gave them permission to enter the residences if they needed, and they could not do that because they found no evidence of any wrongdoing that they could go in. So we are, at any given time, trying to be respectful of the neighbors, respectful of the parking, and doing our best to enforce the rules that we have set forth. We do have quiet time. If we're not on site and we don't see that they're not being observant, we don't have a problem if the neighbor decides to call the police. That should be enforced if that's what the rule is. They also have the opportunity to call me. I'm 15 minutes away in Edmond. I can be there in 20 minutes, any time of the day. I have been there many times when someone just needed something that we're staying there. So we are, previously, I don't believe that the management was as involved in making sure the rules were followed. I like to make sure the rules are followed. The first thing that happened the first of this year was I asked Mr. Simons, do we have licenses? Do we need to renew them? He said, I am not aware that we do. I've talked to the managers in the past. They said that that wasn't necessary because of the time that it was. He never followed up. That's on him. He accepts that responsibility. I accept the responsibility of, since I've been in management of these properties, that I've tried to do my due diligence and whatever is needed, that we are progressing to try and get everything in order. We do not allow more than 5 persons on either side. They are 2 completely separate residences that have 2 bedrooms on one side, 3 bedrooms on the other. But we also tell the people we do not allow more than 2 vehicles. You may stay in the garage, you may park in the parking lot, but you cannot take 2 spaces in the parking lot, and you have to utilize the areas designated. I did read where someone said the FBI possibly had been around. To Mr. Simon's knowledge, I was not there at the time, so this is only hearsay. He was not privy that there was any FBI investigation or surveillance. He is very aware that there was a local department on site. They were observing, so he can't speak to any other organization that was having any issues. To our knowledge, no one's ever been arrested on our property because he wasn't made aware if it had been so. One of the neighbors did mention fireworks. Again, if it happened, I am not aware of it. He was not aware of it. That is obviously not allowed. It's obviously not okay. It's a city limit. We would never allow that. If we were aware of it, we would put a stop to it. We can also ask them to leave the premises. That is, part of the agreement with Airbnb, that if they are not following the rules, you can have them leave. Even if you have to have someone come and assist, which could be police, you have the right to ask them to leave. They don't just get to stay there breaking the rules. We do ask them not to have visitors overnight that are not made aware to us. Obviously, we cannot control if they sneak someone in, but when we are aware, we do make steps to try and correct anything that they are doing wrong. And I think, unless you have questions, that is everything that I did read, every complaint that I read or protest. That's all the information that I have, according to how long I've done it and gathered information from the owner for instances that has previously occurred.
Could you tell me what date you took over?
It probably was the 1st of September, like September 1st. I could go back in a text message and find when he said, you start now, which was about 10 o'clock one night, because he was having issues with the management addressing the guest that was there at the time. And he had repeatedly asked them to do something and tell them that it was time for them to leave, and they did not do it. So at that particular time, he said, this is it, and that's when I took over. But I do know that it was end of August, 1st of September.
And this property has been on Airbnb for the last 10 years?
No, sir, not to my knowledge. To my knowledge, it's only been on there since 2019.
Okay.
Mr. Wilson purchased it to live in when he originally purchased it from the owner. He lived there for a period of time, a few years, and then he used it as an investment property. He had many investment properties in the city, and it was just, he turned it into another rental. And at that time, he did yearly rentals, lease rentals. You know, someone's coming in and leases for a year or two, but they also left in a year or so. So he had several short-term tenants, but it was a legitimate lease situation at the time.
But when you took over, was it being short-term rental?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and it's been short-term rental since you took over?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And do you know when he started renting it short-term?
The only thing I know is what we've both come to the thought of is that Airbnb shows he has been active and a member of property listings since 2019.
Okay.
But from best of his records, it was June or July in 2019.
But in 2019, he was doing
He was,
long-term
yes,
rental.
he was a Airbnb short-term rental, and it has been since that time.
One of the stances that this board has now taken is that if the home itself has operated as a short-term rental without a permit, without a license, that we automatically deny the application.
Okay?
And I think we've been doing a year, or up to a year.
Okay.
So we can give them the opportunity to come back in a year. What's going to be interesting to me is one of the things that we do look for is the management, is how is the property itself being managed? I'm not sure if we're going to get to that discussion today,
Okay.
but that is definitely going to be interesting that if he decides to come back in a year to reapply for a short-term license, and you have the opportunity to manage the home at that point, I'm curious to know how the home itself has been managed over the last 7 or 8 months while you've been managing the home, to see if there has been a difference and whether or not these occurrences that people have brought up was prior to you taking over.
Understood, yes.
So I'm just going to throw that out there as a discussion, because I'm not sure if, just based off the fact that it's been operating for 7 years now without a license and short-term rental special exception, I'm not seeing a way that I'm going to get on board on approving the application. More than likely, I will decline or I'll vote against it based off of that. And like I said, that has become kind of a strict rule that I know I've personally followed over the last several years since as we've adjusted our criteria for approving and disapproving applications.
And I heard you say that when you found out that it was operating without licenses, that you applied, right? I mean, you did
Immediately,
say
yes,
that.
sir.
And so was that, I mean, obviously it wasn't in September, or else you'd been here
No, it was
before.
January, because from my knowledge of offices, I know that
You just said
generally,
renewals
first
coming?
of the year, you start looking at all your renewals. So that was what I did at the first of the year. When I first took it over, I was just trying to figure out how to run it, having never done that before.
So when did you apply to get here? Probably
It's
end of February?
end of February, 1st of March, because I did have to communicate with the owner and tell him this is where we are, this is what it says, this is what it says if you continue to operate without a license. I told him every single thing that I read and understood in the licensing information. And he said, okay, well, don't cancel anybody because I don't know what that will do to us. Continue doing what you're doing, go to the meeting, whatever they tell us to do at that time, that's what we'll do. We'll pay fees, we'll pay penalties, wherever we need to be. Because he doesn't just generally operate incorrectly. He did listen to people that possibly didn't tell him everything he needed to know. It is absolutely on him that he didn't know the information and that he wasn't aware that it wasn't licensed. That's on him. He accepts that. When I came in, I did present him all the options. That's my job. Here are your options. What would you like to do? His choice was continue renting until you have the meeting, and then they will tell us what we need to do.
Okay, that's great. There's some people signed up, I would imagine, to speak.
Nobody signed up to speak, but Mason, I'll pick on you in a minute. Oh, turn those in then, please. All right. Does anybody else have any questions for the applicant? Okay, your turn, Mason.
I can sit.
Yeah.
Hi there. Mason Schwartz, 522 Colcord Drive. Just to answer your last question, I am going to speak on behalf of the Property Owners Association, that is the Glenbrook Property Owners Association, as well as some other neighbors that submitted protests. I won't say that nobody else will come up here because I don't want to tell them they can't. There might be a few that want to add on, but I think I'm going to be able to consolidate, I think, most of what the neighbors are protesting. So I'll try not to rehash what you already heard. But what we do is we pass out a map beforehand. I think it's helpful. It's kind of an enlarged size map. And just for the purposes of the record, I mean, this is a 6306 location. The duplex, the other unit in the duplex is 6308. That's the next agenda item. Our arguments for both items are the exact same. So we'll just get up then and essentially renew everything if that's okay with the board.
Yeah.
Okay. We represent Glenbrook Property Owners Association and other neighbors. Glenbrook is a neighborhood that's been out there for 50 plus years. It's a well-established single-family residential neighborhood with high-end homes. It is predominantly owner-occupied, and it is a family-friendly community. As the applicant mentioned, this property has been operating as an Airbnb since apparently 2019. And just on the point of when they learned about needing a license, I think obviously this board understands that it's every owner and operator's responsibility to understand the law, understand the requirements of having a license. Ignorance of it is no excuse not to have one, especially over the course of 7 years where this city has had high-profile discussions about different home sharing matters. And since they learned about it in January, if you go and look on the Airbnb listings for just one of these units, you can see 5, 6, 7 reviews just in March and April alone. So, there's no reason once they found out that it was operating illegally that they should have continued to rent it out. They could have at least waited until the board of adjustment. And so, as one of the board members already mentioned, I think that history of operation being it illegal, I think is in and of itself justification and a reason to deny this application and the next one. But I will get into a few more things that we were going to otherwise say as to why we think they should be denied. The history of disturbances for this property is pretty striking. There have been a number of late night disturbances, large gatherings, incidents of fireworks, repeated disruptions to the peace. A lot of these are laid out in some of the letters that have been submitted by the neighbors. One of the items or one of the incidents that was referenced was an FBI investigation into one of the tenants that was there at one point, and they actually asked the adjoining neighbor who's here with us today if they could use their yard for surveillance on the issue. There was a burglary as well. So what you have is not isolated accounts of issues that might happen here and there with any operation. These are systemic issues that have happened over and over at the property. The property owners associations in protest, there are multiple neighbors who are also in protest. If you look at the map of Christian Court, what you'll see is essentially 4 structures, right? The application is the structure on the bottom left. The other 3 structures are all in protest. There's the 2 families who live on the one right next to this duplex, both submitted letters explaining in detail why they're opposed. The one on the bottom right is also here today, and they're opposed. And we got a note yesterday from the 3rd building, which is the second building on the right there. saying that they're also opposed, and they're noting the history of Airbnb usage and other incidences at this property. So everybody on this cul-de-sac is actively protesting this application. You know, in a lot of cases, I think you hear protesters get up here and speculate about as to all the things that this might create in terms of harm. This is not a case of speculating harm. This is a case of we have concrete evidence and a track record of a disruptive operation out there at this duplex. And so what the applicant is now asking the board to do today is to essentially sanction 6-7 years of not only illegal operation of this Airbnb, but disruptive operation as a neighbor. And on the point of management turnover, I understand if they come back a year from now, we might want to look at what happened in terms of the current management. But as this board's aware, there's no guarantee that management won't turn over again. And the only thing that's constant in all this is the owner. And so far, the track record shows that he has not had the ability to select management who's adequately can run this property. So even if the current management does clean up the situation a little bit, that's not any comfort to our neighbors, knowing that has no staying power. Quickly on the traffic and the parking on this. So the standards, use standards for home sharing, and this language is actually in the staff report as well, say that when evaluating an application for home sharing / short-term rental special exception, the Board of Adjustment may consider as a basis for denial concerns regarding vehicular traffic that may be hazardous or in conflict with the existing and anticipated traffic in the neighborhood, which may include but not be limited to existence of a cul-de-sac near the site, width of streets, ingress and egress from the neighborhood, and access for first responders. That language, which is the express language that the code talks about this board considering with these special exceptions for home sharing, all of those concerns that are listed in that language are present in this case. It's actually baffling how many of them are present here. There are 5 lots, as you can see, they're on Christian Court. The one on the top left kind of has 2 in there, but in terms of being split into lots. But cul-de-sacs generally require a minimum of an 80-foot diameter turnaround area. You think of a cul-de-sac, you think of a big circle opening. The reasons for that are pretty obvious. You know, if you don't have that size of an area, you're going to have trouble for full-size vehicles, emergency vehicles to maneuver and turn around. Here, there is no area. This essentially functions as a 20-foot wide road that goes into a tight loop. There's no ability for an emergency vehicle or any kind of oversized vehicle to maneuver around some sort of issue in the road. It's going to be hard enough for a full-size vehicle to turn around here as it is. But it creates an absolute clear and present safety issue in emergency response situations when you have this kind of layout. So you have multiple pinch points, multiple ingress and egress issues. And I was out there today. The quote-unquote parking lot that I think was referred to by the applicant is really 4, maybe 5 parking spots in the middle there, which are essentially shared parking that are not very well delineated. They're not even marked with striping. They're essentially just road stops that you can park up against. But keep in mind, these are all zoned for duplexes. So in theory, there's 10 units in this cul-de-sac. So we're talking about 5 parking spots in the middle there. That's, you know, something like a half parking spot per unit. So the idea that we're going to be using, you know, this off-site in the middle here as parking, you know, is a serious problem. And so when you think about these 2 units together operating, you're talking about a maximum of 10 guests. And operating at the same time, you can imagine how many vehicles it might have. There's things that you can control as a manager, and there's things you can't. And if people are going to come with 3 or 4 vehicles, which is pretty reasonable for 10 people, it's going to create concerns and overflow of parking that are going to exacerbate those pinch points in the ingress and egress. So I think if you look at that language, that specific language in the code, it's right on point for this case. A couple more things on the parking. The applications include a statement that I think the applicant referenced. And the statement says, available parking, 1 spot in shared cul-de-sac and 1 spot in garage. So whether they want to call that a shared garage or not, the point is that all of the off-street parking for these 2 applications combined is this garage that's in the back, which has a one-way drive back to it. So that's 2 total spots of off-street parking for 10 guests. And they're in a garage, which is really not even accessible very well for one of the units. The code, under the standards that are also listed in the staff report, requires that the home sharing / short-term rental accommodation shall provide for 1 off-street parking space per 4 occupants. Well, here you have 2 off-street, well, you have 1, if you just take this application by itself, you have 1 off-street parking space for this application, and you have 5 occupants. So that in and of itself fails to meet the parking standards, and it's the same thing on the other application. And that's not a hazy may consider thing, that says shall. That's a requirement in terms of providing off-street parking, and they're not meeting that ratio. Just a couple more things. Glenbrook is not a transient rental district. It's a well-established neighborhood. This creates concerns for safety, creates concerns for the character of the neighborhood. And the code requires compatibility, consistency with surrounding uses. What we've seen from this duplex operation over the last 6 years is not compatible with the type of single-family residential neighborhood that Glenbrook is and wants to continue to be. So we would respectfully ask the the board, deny the application.
Okay. Questions, comments from the board?
Sounds to me if the homeowners association is going to go and spend the money to hire an attorney, that most are probably want to do away with short-term rentals. And my thought is, our ordinance was updated a year ago, that the board can consider HOA bylaws when it comes to short-term rentals, but it's got to specifically prohibit short-term rentals. And so I don't know if the HOA, if that's a route that they would like to go and pursue in order to maybe avoid this in the future.
They may take that option. I mean, essentially what the change was that, when all of the ordinances were going through for the city, it became apparent that there were a whole lot of neighborhoods out there that had language that might prohibit, in theory, Airbnbs, but might not. For example, the language in our covenants that were written back in the 50s, 60s, were essentially say that, single family only, right? So there's obviously some gray area as to whether it's a single family and what that means. So what the city did was they provided the option for if neighborhoods wanted to go and specifically say no Airbnbs, they essentially allowed neighborhoods to do that, right, as an option. They weren't going to say we're going to overrule you. But they didn't require neighborhoods to do that. There was nothing in that process that made it seem like if you don't like it, you have to go put it in a covenant. That's not at all what it was. So it might be something the neighborhood considers, but again, these covenants have been around for a very long time.
But I'll tell you, our direction is that we won't accept it if the CCNR change unless it directly says short-term lease. So
That's
what
right.
you just said was
Yeah.
not actually what we abide by.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that we're not up here.
Are these 8 units in the HOA?
Yes. Yeah.
She says no, you say yes.
Mr. Simons is not in a homeowners association.
So they're not in the HOA.
Well, this is, as I understand it, it's part of the Glenbrook Neighborhood Association. So
I just a question if they're members of the HOA, these 8 units.
I couldn't tell you off the top. They're not,
They don't pay dues, they're not members.
but as I understand it, they would be subject to the covenants, and we can check that for you. But the covenants would have applied before. Covenants were around before the HOA itself.
Yeah, just a question. There's no access into the neighborhood from these units. So that was why I was just wondering if it was actually members.
It's platted as part of Glenbrook. It was subject to the original covenants. you know. But, again, and that's why I think it's important to point out the fact that we have these 3 other neighbors on the cul-de-sac who are specifically opposed to it. It's not just the neighbors back behind.
Okay. Anything else from the board? Okay. I've got a Rebecca Wilson signed up. Do you want to add anything, make a comment different from what Mason said? If you want to speak, come on up. Okay. And you also signed up to speak on the next one, so I'm going to ask you again. Next case. William Ward. Oh, yeah, we got to get it on the record.
I live at 1440 Glenbrook Drive, which is just to the west off of that map. And never knew anything about Airbnb until a couple years ago when the home across from us, which is a duplex, became Airbnb, and we saw nice families there for the first couple weeks. And then something changed and we couldn't put our finger on it. It is later find out it's at the same time they're doing the, I don't know if they call it the investigation or when the, I don't know, it was the FBI, whoever was looking at the other home. We were not aware of this. But I eventually got cameras and we see nice cars backing into the driveway for 5 and 10 minutes at a time. The garage. Garage opens, car goes in, closes, 5 minutes later opens, comes out. There'd be Porsche, and all these different ones. So I started an investigation with Airbnb, and right as that was coming to a head, that's when I guess the police came in for the property down the street, and these guys took off. And so that's been my one Airbnb experience. Otherwise, it was nice when they had a long-term renter. So.
Questions,
Any questions?
comments from the board? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And Hutchison, is that Jana? Janine, I'm sorry.
So I'm Jane Nelson Hutchison, and my husband and I own the property at 6300 Kristen Court, which is the structure that's adjacent to the 2 properties in question. And as far as the parking, the only thing I can add is that when people come in for these short-term rentals, they park skewed. I mean, they do not, there's pretty much a defined entrance and exit to that cul-de-sac. None of the Airbnb renters follow that assignment, and then they just park willy-nilly in those parking spaces. So it is a problem. It's problematic. If we were to have guests, there may not be enough parking spaces for the rest of us who live in that cul-de-sac. So that's the only thing I have to add, and it has been a problem. The other thing I would add is that on the night of the break-in, the police did knock on every one of our doors at midnight to ask us if we knew anything about it. And they were not aware that the people that were in the structure were renting and did not have access to to calling the owner or the property manager at the time. Thank you.
One quick question for you, ma'am. Do you pay HOA dues?
We will be tomorrow. We haven't, we do not have access, well, the way that our properties are set up, we don't necessarily have access to anything in Glenbrook. And when we have approached the HOA at one point about working with us, my husband would like to have sidewalks so that we could walk from our cul-de-sac to Grand. And they were not necessarily open to helping us work on that. So we've not joined, but as of today, we will be members.
All right, I'm asking for the future. I'm not asking, and it has no bearing on my vote today. I'm just asking in the event that these 2 these duplexes come back next year, that I've got full information as to whether or not those properties are actually subject to. And definitely, if they do come back in a year, and the HOA chooses to come back and protest, definitely want to see those who is not subject to. But thank you.
You're welcome.
And hey, before you do leave, I did want to talk about the parking, and it was mentioned by Mr. Schwartz also. We do a very good job, I believe, on limiting the parking, listening to the neighbors who come and protest. That means a lot to me. And so the limiting of the number of vehicles that would be allowed at this site wouldn't be any more than the site could handle. So if it was to have a short-term exemption on it, and they didn't follow through with that, the call to the action center that said there was 2 cars when there was only supposed to be 1 would then cause us to have a citation on it. We would then be notified of it, and the renewal process on that would be very, very difficult.
Thank you.
So your policing of that property is very important to how and what we know, because it's the only way we actually find anything out.
And I will also share that with the neighbors that we have that actually share our structure, because they're traveling today and could not be here. Otherwise, they would be here. But we're both owners of that. That's the only structure that's been divided in ownership. So, thank you.
If I could just clarify one thing.
Go ahead.
I was looking at the covenants. Regardless of whether they're the paying member of the HOA or not, because some HOAs are mandatory, some are not, obviously. These properties in Christian Court they were platted within the Glenbrook subdivision, and they are included within what was part of the covenants. So they are subject, if we were to, for example, change the covenants, they would be subject to that, regardless of whether they're a paying member or not of the HOA.
Okay. Tracy, you want to respond? Anything to add? Okay.
So just come up to the podium, because I still have some questions for you. And I'm trying to remember from past cases also. I know that we've deferred some for time of operating. We take into consideration when an owner gets a property owner or property manager to take over the property and how that property then is operated. And so for me, I'm not here to deny this case today, as much as the neighbors probably would like me to. In the past, what we've done, like I said, is we've deferred it to a time where it's almost like a penalty for operating it. So that's kind of where I am. I understand that the ordinance is coming into effect. There will be many people, owners, who come to get an exception who were operating without an exception because they either didn't want to or didn't know about it, and now they do because they're getting told. We have software that we've created or that's been created for the city to look at and to find operators who are operating without license. And so more will come. I know that being here, you're here to get remedy of a situation that is currently not correct.
Exactly.
And so what we need to be trying to do is to find that remedy. And to totally just deny it today, for me, is not something that I'm behind. And so I'd like to figure out a way, an agreement between you as the operator and us to get to a point where we can get it under license and an exception and have the rules that you can follow, that the neighbors would accept, and get to a place then where you can operate it. And if you can't, then
Then you do something different.
you're gonna have to do something different.
And in all honesty, we are in no way trying to alienate any neighbors. And we, again, understand this can be a problem when you've lived there for many years.
Right,
We
and I'm gonna
understand
tell you
that.
this, I mean, I read all of the protests, and whether it's a single-family home with an owner in it, or a long-term lease, or a short-term, you can have all these same problems. So just because I don't want it, doesn't mean that you can't have it, and that's kind of where we are. We're on this board to try to alleviate a problem, to create a special exception for a property for short-term lease. And so that's where I am today. I don't know what.
I think I'm gonna take a different stance. I'm gonna disagree. I think I am in favor of denying this because of the way that it has been operated, the way that the response that once they realized they were out of compliance, we've had people that shut things off completely, canceled all bookings. Those were not the remedies and the actions that were taken at this time for this application, and it sounds like possibly the next application for that purpose. I think actions have consequences. We know those that really, I feel, are doing everything they can to get back in compliance. And in those situations, I mean, and we're talking right now, we're talking the difference between an additional application fee if we deny this versus just postponing it till a later time. But for me, I'm in favor of just strict denial.
I'm just going to follow what I've been doing, which is try to limit the ability to obtain a short-term license for a special exception for the period of time that it's already been operating. The only problem that I have is I'm not really clear on how long that time period has been. I think I heard you say earlier that it was leased as long-term back in 2019, but it also has been active on the site back then as well?
It's been actively on Airbnb since 2019. That's what they show, that it's been active since 2019. It does not tell me what month that was. But previous to 2019, so since 2019, he's only used it as a Airbnb rental, to my knowledge. He's possibly had people that came in short-term for 2 or 3 months at a time off of the site, but he has only used it as a short-term rental, to my knowledge. Prior to that, it was a rental as well. I do believe that he was doing 6 to 12 month leases for it at that time. I don't know how many tenants he did have, how often they turned over, or any of that information, but I'm sure as a long-term lease, he still probably had turnovers. I just don't know the extent.
Yeah, turnover is altogether different. I just want to know it's your understanding that since 2019, this property has not been leased
Not any long-term.
longer
It's
than
only
30
been
days?
short. Yes, sir. Only short-term rentals since then.
Ma'am, are there other properties that you manage?
Just these 2 properties for all of his other properties, well, and no, ma'am, no other properties, just these 2.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Ready for a motion?
Yeah, I guess we'll just do a test vote and see whether or not we deny or postpone, but I'm going to make a motion to deny case number 16192. I don't think we can put a limit to come back, applicant come back in a year, or is that?
I think it's covered in the ordinance on a reapplication.
If you deny an applicant, or any decision you make, the applicant needs to wait 6 months to reapply.
Okay, all right, then I guess. But I'll make a motion to deny case number 16192.
Okay, motion and a second to deny. Cast your votes. Denied. Okay, ready for the next one. Oh, I'm sorry. The motion was to deny this application, 4 positive votes, so this one is denied.
Item number 3, case number 16193 is an application by Tracy Terry on behalf of R. Scott Wilson to allow home sharing at 6308 Christian Court.
Is it safe to assume everything you said?
×2, yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Does anybody have any questions on this address for the applicant?
I just want to say I feel like you've been put in a very difficult position, so I want to make sure that you realize that it's not an indication on you.
Yes,
but
sir, I do. Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to deny case number 16193.
Okay, I've got a couple of protesters that signed up. Do you want to add anything now that you can tell which way the wind's blowing?
Just for purposes of the record, we adopt everything we said in the
Yep.
previous application.
Okay.
Good.
Rebecca, Ms. Hutchison, you want to add anything? Okay, I got to have you up front.
I just feel that it's not as safe as a neighborhood with all this interaction going on. Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to deny this one. Cast your votes. All right. The motion was to deny, 4 positive votes, so this one is denied also.
Item number 4, case number 16194 is an application by Ruben L. Cedillo and Jennifer Cedillo to allow home sharing located at 8512 Southwest 44th Court.
Good afternoon. Ruben Cedillo, 8512 Southwest 44th Court. On my application, I initially asked for the special exception duration for maximum of 1 year. I realized for first timers it's I asked for maximum, but I realize now it's first timers is 1 year, so I'm requesting the 1 year. And also I'll also realize that quiet hour standard seems to be 9 p.m. to 8 a.m., so I'll adjust the application to that as well.
Okay, nobody signed up to speak on this one. Does anyone want to address the board on this application? Okay, questions, comments from the board?
Just a couple of questions, and also keep you, or make you aware, there was a written protest.
Okay.
Did you get that?
I did not.
Okay,
I didn't know, we weren't, where were we looked online and couldn't find
We'll
it.
get you a copy of the written
Okay.
protest, and I think there's just an email, not even an address or a name with it. So on the maximum number of guests on this, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home.
Yes, sir.
The maximum for me today would be 7,
Okay.
if you're okay with that. Change the quiet hours, like you said, from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. Maximum number of vehicles, I would say, on this property, is the garage available?
Garage is not available.
So, 2,
2, maximum of 2 in the driveway.
2 vehicles in the drive, no on-street parking, and the term would be 1 year.
That no on-street parking during quiet hours?
It's in a cul-de-sac kind of thing. I think just none.
No. You said 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. Mm-hmm. Okay. Ready for a motion?
Ready for a motion?
Okay. Motion to approve case number 16194 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the requested special exception with the following modifications. Maximum number of guests shall be 7, quiet hours 9 p.m. to 8 a.m., 2-car maximum, no on-street parking, and for a term of 1 year.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. You're approved.
Awesome. Thank you for your time.
We have item number 5, case number 16195 is an application by Christine Tuong Ban Vo and Du Lai to allow home sharing located at 212 Northeast 15th Street.
Hi, my name is Dui Lee, and my address is 212 Northeast 15th Street, and I'm just applying for a short-term rental. This is my first time doing it. So. The property has 3 beds and 2 baths.
I don't have anybody signed up to speak on this one. Is there anyone who wants to address the board on this application? Yep. I got a volunteer. If you'll have a seat, let her speak. We'll bring you back up.
Good afternoon. We received
I need your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Gina Crawley Anderson. My address is 1425 Northeast 14th. I received this and I was confused. So that's why I showed up, because I had no idea what I was looking at. So in order for me to see, but he gives the address, so I just wanted to make sure, because I did receive this, that I am okay and nothing pins with me. Because I don't think the person that needed it received it, because it came to my address. It's under my grandparents' name. So I'm the one that has 1432, I'm sorry, Northeast 14th is the address that I'm at. But this came to my address, 1909 Washington Boulevard. And then I just lost about $30 on parking. So, I'm good.
Our notices go out to property owners within a 300-foot radius, just to advise you of what's going on. So you were just listed on that listing.
Okay.
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 And then everyone got a notice, but it was just, that was just for yours.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Sarah, can you tell us, is there a way that we can get on these reports, whether or not, can we run a report and make sure that we've done our due diligence in making sure that these properties have not been marketed on Airbnb prior to the meeting? Or is that something we have to request while we're up here?
We're going to have to maybe talk about it. This one has not been rented. I'm checking live as we go.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Just want to go over the application a little bit. You had a maximum of 8 guests, but it's a 3-bedroom. So for me today, a maximum guest number would be 7. I want to revise the quiet hours from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m.
Yeah.
I want to put the maximum number of vehicles on the property to be 2 and no on-street parking. And then the term would be 1 year.
Sounds like we're ready for a motion.
Good. Motion to approve case number 16195 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the special exception with the following modifications. Maximum number of guests at 7, quiet hours 9 p.m. to 8 a.m., 2-car maximum, no on-street parking, and for a term of 1 year.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Cast your votes. You're approved.
Thank you.
Item number 6, case number 16196 is an application by Melissa Eisman on behalf of 32 Group LLC to allow home sharing at 1217 Northeast 15th Street.
Okay. Give us
Hi.
your name and address and
Cynthia Cardy. You want my physical address or the address here of the property?
your physical.
I didn't hear.
Physical.
6417 South Harvey Place. It's where I live. The property is 1217 Northeast 15th.
Okay. Tell us about the application.
It is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's an Airbnb with a large driveway and a backyard. It is close to OU Medical, which we get traveling nurses, traveling doctors, families that have patients at OU Medical.
No one signed up to speak on this application. Does anyone want to address the board on this one?
I can't hear you, sir.
He was just asking if anyone from the audience wanted to
Yeah.
talk. Just to go over the application a little bit. So this had a special exception a couple of years
It
ago?
has been running as when we were informed that we needed to get another application, and I guess y'all were doing them prior. Now it's going to be a year-to-year, so we're here doing this.
So usually on the first year of the application, we give it a 1-year term, and then after that, we'll look at it. If it's properly run, then we can give a longer extension on the special exception.
Okay? My understanding, we haven't had any drama.
I think this one actually received a letter of support of the application.
So was this given a 1-year term? It says 1 year, but it was 20, so it's been expired since 2024?
Yeah.
Has it been operating since 2024?
Yes, we were just aware that that we needed to do this all over again. That's why we did it, and we got the ownership radius. We got this in February, and now we're waiting for this hearing.
So you all were under the impression that you just needed to come one time?
Correct. To get another application, another renewal. And now we'll be here, I guess, it seems like every year. Unless you give us a longer year period.
I guess we need to have a discussion regarding, I mean, this was 2023. I don't recall exactly what all has changed, but I feel like our process has been pretty much the same. I'm just a little lost on what we could have done to give the impression it was an indefinite approval. Because I want to be sensitive to that if that's the case, but I also don't want to open us up for applications coming in that are expired.
Well, when the license expires, then it alerts us, do you want to approve when they apply for a new one? Do you want to approve this license? And in 9/4/24, we advised a renewal was needed to continue your license. So all we can do is make a note in there and not issue the license. And then a code complaint will go out. And then they came back in March of 2026.
So did they get correspondence in '24 that they were out of compliance?
On 9/4/24, they revised a renewal was needed to continue the license.
I see.
And then they applied for their new license in '26. I mean, at some point, were they actually doing home sharing in 25, and then starting it up again? I mean, we can only go by what the request was, but we did not approve it for their license. And then they had a 1-year term from March of '23 to March of '24.
So did you all lease this as a long-term rental in that time period?
No, and we were not aware of an expiration. That is why we came back, and we've been applying, and like I said, getting everything that we needed, and we're here today.
So how did you guys become aware that you needed to come back in
It
here?
was my understanding that Ms. Eisenman received an email.
And when did he receive that email?
When did she receive the email?
Yeah, sorry.
I couldn't tell you that, but I could find out.
So are you the manager? Or the-
I'm representing with her. I'm working with her.
Does she manage the property herself?
Yes, what 30 Group does. She's part of 30 Group.
Sarah, you show rental history for the last year. You show rental history for the last year on this property?
I do.
What does that mean?
So for Sarah Welch Planning Department, for our host applicant and anybody else, the city has access to a software that allows us to see like Airbnb and verbal bookings.
Correct.
And so the records that we have show that this was first seen by Airbnb back in 2023. And then I can see 1 year of rental history. So I can see that, you know, back as far as April of 2025, it's been, you know, home shared. And for anybody else here, also, the home sharing as defined by the city is renting it out more than less than 30 days. Over 30 days, you wouldn't be here going through this process. You're here if you are home sharing less than 30 days, and you don't live at the property, or you rent it out more than 10 days a month, even if you do live at the property.
Okay.
And also, Sarah, the city is not actively using the software to comb through data and sending new emails out to people who are not in compliance yet, right?
We are not doing that now, correct. We are primarily using this software for you, for this meeting, to alert you to the
Right.
status of rentals, and then for code complaints.
Right. So notification to the owner would be an email sent back to the email plus a written letter? Back, I'm saying back when your term was to end, 2 months prior, you're going to get a letter and an email. Is that right, Cindy? I'm just trying to get reference.
That's the process it's supposed to go under. But in this one, you know, they were good till March of 2024. And then in September 24, I don't know the lapse there, why, but maybe they weren't going to home share, decided to, you just don't know.
Right.
So when they,
Well, it sounds almost like they are under a different reasoning than the actual licensing and special exception terms. So it just goes back, even for me, for the last case, but, you know, the remedy is to come here to get approved and to get an exception and to get back into compliance. Like I said before, we'll probably see multiple of these over the years, and so we need to find a directive to get to a place where we can get them licensed. And
Well, and I'll say, I can't, some of the things we can't tell on this software, but it appears to me that there was one booking that was potentially multiple weeks. Like, you can still rent on Airbnb for more than 30 days. So if folks are coming to stay and they're there for a long term, for folks at the hospital, is that correct?
There's a traveling nurse that
Traveling
comes
nurse,
pretty,
so-
and so she can tell you what her schedule is between now and probably the next 6 months. But are they 30 consecutive days? No. There's always a break in between. Plus, she has to go home.
Ma'am, how long has your company been managing this property?
How long have I been?
Yes, how long is?
Probably for the last year.
Okay, thank you.
And I say that because one of the parties has moved out of state for a bit, and so I have tried helping more.
Thank you.
I think I'm getting some heartburn from the standpoint of ignorance of the law is not an excuse. And if these applicants, they're given a year and then they're being notified that, hey, if you want to renew your license, you need to come back. But they don't take action. I don't know what else we're going to require the city to do in order to make sure that they know they're going out of compliance. And here we are 2-3 years later. And so I think that's the hard part. But you have people who do react differently. And I think that that's where you, Mr. Noble, want to give these people a little more grace or a little more leniency from the ones that are just blatant bad actors. And I'm not sure that it's on us. I don't think we have guidance to make that determination.
But can I say something? I feel like since we realized what it was, I think we have actually been working since January and February. Like I said, gone to the courthouse, gotten everything that has been asked for, and now we're here in April. So it seems like for the last 4 months, we've been working, waiting for this hearing to get into compliance.
Right. And operating it also. So, I mean, it is a two-way street. I'll just say it again. There's a lot of, I mean, we've heard this data, supposedly, 2/3 of the short-term rentals in the city are operating without short-term licenses. And so they're coming here to get in compliance. If we don't allow the compliance, they have to pay a dock fee, and then we deny every time, why would they come? So,
Yeah, we kind of was thinking like like your yearly tag. You have to get it every month or every year. But what happens when you don't pay it? They'll give you the tag, but you're going to pay a fee, like a late fee. We don't have a late fee, so we don't have anything that really gets them. It's just, we're just issuing the license. We want them to come into compliance, but we don't have late fees or anything of that nature.
And I'm not sure that we have guidance from the city council as to which way they would prefer for us to judge on these types of cases.
No, I agree. And I think that what we've got to wrestle with is both sides of that. I think that what Don is saying is absolutely right. There's no incentive to come in to get in compliance if you're just going to be denied. The problem is there's no incentive to comply in the first place if all that's going to happen is we give you the special exception anyways.
Right.
I think the part that I struggle with goes back to the special meeting we had, and I know we had a number of short-term rental operators that showed up, and they were very vocal about, having additional compliance placed on top of them. And one of the key things that stood out to me in that meeting was the fact that they're here, they're trying to be in compliance, and we're punishing them, or they had the mentality that we were punishing them for those who were operating illegally. And so I felt like the messaging that we shared with them at that time is that we would do our best, for lack of a better term, to reward them for being in compliance and operating accordingly, versus those that would just operate without obtaining a license. I don't know any other way to do it other than this, particularly with the fact that they can come back in 6 months. That's about as close as I think that we have to a penalty. I don't think that we have the purview to implement any penalty or any longer time than the 6 months. So I look at it, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm just assuming this. I've not read anything that said this. I look at it as it's just a necessary step in the process. You do have to come here, and if you've been operating, then we'll deny it, but the clock starts at that point for that 6-month time period for you to get in compliance. Or if you've operated less than that, if you've operated 30 days and we say come back in 30 days, or 60 days, come back in 60 days. I just don't know a way to make it equitable on both sides of the argument.
well, I was on the committee that created the new ordinance, and this was discussed. I mean, we talked about, because there's so much to talk about, by the way, but in trying to get this done, and from the city's point of view, it was to get people in to file for the exception, to get them in compliance, to get them paying license fees. so that the data could be collected and they know what was going on. There's, again, so many that are operating without licenses and without special exceptions that there's an effort. The software was purchased. There'll be further efforts down the road in order to give people more notice. But to have someone come in, to pay an application fee, come in to get denied, knowing that they were operating without the license, it's just, there's zero incentive to do it. And again,
But if-
we constantly are working on, whether it's a variance or a special exception, it's to get the owner in compliance.
If the goal, though, was to get everybody in compliance, and we are guesstimating that we've only got a third of people under compliance, and we are 3 or 4 years in.
Well, we're 1 year into the new, but right, I mean, but there's still, none of them have been notified, hey, you're operating illegally.
Right.
Other than one time when, 9 months into the first term.
Yeah, a lot of
you
us-
guys know how I feel about this, so.
No, and a lot of us people up here are business owners, and we also realize that when we started our businesses, we knew here are all the things that we've got to go do in order for us to operate a business legally. And I think that this is just part of it too. And where are the consequences for not getting in compliance? And Mr. Uday made a good point. There's not really an incentive to get into compliance if we're just going to give them that special exception without some sort of penalty, and we cannot impose some sort of fee at this point.
Right, but straight denial is not something that we've been doing regularly.
No, and like I said, that last one was, I felt like that was a little more blatant. I would
If
be.
you would have said we're going to deny this on the facts of the operation, that's a whole different deal than we're going to deny this because they've been operating illegally without the special exception. To me, and that's just why I said what I said. even
Yeah,
with
I mean.
cases coming
Yeah,
on.
and just to clarify for the record, my points on that, I do agree that outright denial is, I would consider extreme. The reason that I supported it in the last application is because the applicant cited that it had been used as a short-term rental since 2019. And so the closest thing that I could do to be consistent with what we've previously done by establishing a period of time that is commensurate to the same time it's been operating is, we'd be looking at 7 years, but obviously we're not doing that. So 6 months was a lesser,
Well, 6 months
amount.
and a new application fee.
Yes.
I understood it.
But yeah, if it was 3 months, or in this instance, if it was 3 months, what I would support would be come back in 3 months. I would be happy to continue it, so there's no additional fee. Just the only, I guess, punitive measure would be you can't operate for 90 days.
I have a question for Sarah. When a license is issued, it's for 1 year.
Yes.
Is the expiration date printed on the license?
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen one, so I don't know.
I think it's just the issuance date.
I know it's in the permit portal, but I do not know if it,
I was just curious, because, I know when the tag on my car expires, because it's printed on there.
Right. And you get something in the mail.
Yeah. So, okay.
and you're going to get your tag, but you're going to pay a little bit because you were late.
Well, and I think the other point that Don touched on was kind of the impetus behind, the software is to get folks compliant. I will say I do see that side of it. I wish, and again, this is also outside of our purview, but I wish it was in conjunction with a campaign, a notification campaign, because then that would make sense, especially if we spelled it out expressly. The city has this program or this campaign for the next 6 months or a year even, whatever the council decided. For the next year, we want you all to come in and become compliant, and we're going to send out, we're going to use our software to scrub the databases and send out notifications to everybody. And if you come in before this date, we're going to just simply get you compliant, because then that makes it easy. It's an easy cutoff date. After that, you weren't trying. Everybody was put on notice. But right now, we have no way to differentiate between true bad actors and ignorance. And so because I know that folks will come in who are true bad actors and see that the ignorance path works to simply get a short-term rental special exception, that's my fear. So I don't know if there's a way for us to formally make that request and seek some weighing in from council. I have no problem with it. I'm just attempting to be consistent. I don't have enough personal feelings about it to say it has to be this way.
What is the longest that we've postponed?
We did 9 months, but I've been told from several people that that's just too long.
Well, I mean, and given now we
too
can't
long.
do that anyways, because you can't exceed the
Denial.
The period of applying.
Yeah.
So that'd be like 6 months.
And you know, the fee was $300 and now it's $1,100. So it's gone up tremendously.
It's not a new concept. We discussed these very things in the special meeting that we had, specifically increased fees, all of those things, incentives, de-incentives for folks to be in compliance. I think the only quote-unquote dog that I have in the fight is that we're consistent with how we implement it. I'm 100% on board for exploring or inviting additional commentary from council and then exploring an alternative way to deal with it, but I think there needs to be an expectation. I think that there needs to be an expectation on both sides. There needs to be an expectation that if I'm not going to operate within the prescribed guidelines, I can expect these things to happen to me. I think that on the other side of that, as an operator that's doing what I'm supposed to do, there can be an expectation that my competitors that are not having to comply at this level are going to have to deal with these certain things. I think that just needs to be clear. One of our jobs, I think, across the board is for there to be a clear understanding. I know that every case is case by case, but there can't be inconsistency for the sake of inconsistency, or if that makes sense.
That's why it's also very important that when we do make an exception, that we note that in our provisions, a distinction. It's always a balancing act.
Right. Each case is individual. We know that, and this case per se has 0 protests. I mean, it's been operating according to, as far as what the neighbors are saying, the rules and regulations that the vendor. The only difference is they just didn't have the special exception, and probably a permit, a license.
Okay, but we did have one in the beginning.
Yes.
It just
No, I
lapsed.
understand. You
Okay,
had one in
So we've gone through
2024.
this process, and we were in compliance.
Yep. I think now you understand it maybe a little bit
absolutely.
better.
Oh, it'll be on
Probably
everyone's
understood it a little
calendars.
bit better from the first 2 cases that we did on the special exception. I kind of expressed where I am. I'm willing to look at the application and decide what to do with it. It's just what the other board members are and where they stand.
Well, I think for consistency, I'm on board continue it to a later date. I just don't know how many months. Is it going to be 3 or is it going to be 6? Because we have done up to, if they've operated 2 years or a year before, we've done up to 9 months. It sounds like we may take a 6-month limit based off of if that's the denial period. So, you know, we're looking to do 3 to 6 months. I just don't, I'm leaning towards 6, but I'm not sure.
Well, we could take the approach of just letting the applicant decide, because the one thing that was different about the 9-month scenario is if you get an applicant that's out of compliance and they voluntarily agree to come back in any time period, 6 months, 7 months, 9 months, the benefit that they get from that is they're not having to reapply. So we'll just continue it that long. So I think in these cases like this, we leave it up to the applicant. We can deny you, in which case you're automatically entitled to come back in 6 months, but you're gonna have to pay a fee. Or we can continue this for this exact same amount of time that you've been operating it without the license. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, you came on only a year ago for this? You've only been a part of this project for a year?
Right.
But it's been short-term lease the whole time that you've been a part of it?
Once we became aware of it.
But is there any, since you've been a part of it, there's not been any time where it's not been short-term rental?
I'd have to go back and check.
Okay, let's clarify. Now, you said you've been involved for a year, but the company that's been managing it, which is 32 Group LLC, have you been a part of that entity, and has it been managing it
I
since
have
the
not
beginning?
been part of that, and I do not have an answer for you on that.
Okay.
I think 32 Group LLC is the actual owner.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Still up to you. I mean, I know from past processes and of what we've done and deferring these past too long of a date has been problematic. So, you know, I think getting people into compliance, getting them to understand today where they are is I mean, a great benefit to the city, great benefit to what we do. Getting people licensed and holding the license so there's accountability is more important to me than almost anything. I used to be, I promise you, I used to be like, sorry, done. You're just not going to be able to operate like this. But I've been doing it now for a little while, and I've kind of, I don't know, maybe you've beaten me down a little bit, but it is what it is. So that's just where I am.
Sarah, you want to say something?
I do, just Sarah Welch, Planning Department. From a processing standpoint, I think the heartburn that Cindy and I have with a really long deferral is, first, also, we don't want to make a mistake, and it's hard to track those that long. We don't renotice for that time. But more importantly, because we have a 10% rule, and this block is a really good example, there's really only going to be one special exception allowed on this block. And I don't want us to get into a circumstance where someone else could come through and get through this entire process and block out this block, and then we're back before you in 6 months and we're trying to figure out how to handle the 10% rule. So I think that's where we sit with deferral dates.
Well, I'm all ears as far as what the balance that we strike should be. The balance between encouraging and incentivizing compliance while also not just blanket rewarding folks for coming in.
If we don't want to blanket reward, then the only option we have is to deny.
You're talking outright denial?
And regardless of whether they've been operating 3 years or 18 months, just let it be 6 months. And they risk being outside that 10% when they come back to reapply.
So the only exception to that would be in an instance where somebody's out of compliance for a period of less than 6 months. Then in those instances, we would consider continuing and not allowing them to operate until that time period.
You almost could. You know, I mean, I want to be mindful of staff, and because let's say they have been out of compliance for 3 months and we continue for 3 months, but then someone else wants to apply during that time because they know the 10%. I think we do create some issues if we continue.
Sarah, do you have input on that timeline? When you say what is your definition of an extended period of time? I guess that would help.
I think I'm going to withhold my opinion about the deferrals, but as far as timeline goes, it takes about, Cindy, 6 to 8 weeks to get through this. Is that right?
Yes.
From application to hearing date, it's 6 to 8 weeks.
So let's just say that this application was continued. So in the permit portal, it's going to be continued, but neighbors on both sides are calling in code complaints. So they're going to get a code complaint, and they're going to look at the Deckard, and they're going to say, yes, it's being advertised because they've been advertising. So then they're going to get a code complaint, but yet it's not going to move on because it's continued in the, we don't have a yes or a no on your special exception. And I've seen that before too. So I think we're just prolonging a lot of different processes.
And we have to be mindful that we've got the Olympics coming in a couple of years, and a lot of Airbnbs are going to pop up.
And then when they come out of the woodwork, is what we say, then they're going to say, well, the Board of Adjustment is just going to deny us, so why should we even apply? So that's...
No, and that goes to Don's point. I mean, I definitely see that side. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, if we are here to act as a quasi-judicial board...
It's brought to your attention.
And it's brought to my attention, I can only rule on the merits. And the merits say it's out of compliance, and are we going to reward that?
Well,
and we don't have any guidance in the ordinance.
How much of a reward is it to pay an $1,100 application fee, a $100 licensing fee, and then have to come back in one more year? And again, it's the first time, so maybe if someone was to do it repeatedly, it's a different situation, but.
On the renewal fee of $750 on the second year, and the license is still $100.
I think what's making it difficult for you is that in the past, most special exceptions, they had conditions to meet, and if they met them, you would approve them. There wasn't a lot of conditioning of special exceptions. There wasn't a lot of research behind the scenes about the Airbnb history. So I am not your attorney, but I'll look at ours. I think that it's just, you have to review each case, whether they're meeting the standards for special exception and whether they can meet the conditions to be approved, and set a time frame. And we will be back here, if they choose to continue in the future, and if they continue to home share without the proper license or special exception, then it's a code enforcement issue. So.
Don, I'm curious to know, do you have any suggestions for any punitive measure for a home share applicant that comes in that's been out of compliance?
Well, I mean, for me, I'd look at the whole case, not just the fact that they were either a year late, 2 year late, 6 months late, whatever, 1 month late. We're going to have to see a whole bunch that are 1 month late. And so on an application like this, when I look at it, I mean, I'd just go through my regular application doctorate and see what y'all thought. But I just don't think, first, I definitely am against straight denial. And we have heard that before about you know, the blocks, the 10% rule, to put the city into a position where someone comes in. Not a lot of people are probably watching Board of Adjustment, but if they were and said, oh, I better get compliant, I'm in this block, and knock somebody else out, this becomes problematic. I just want to get them licensed, special accepted, and moving forward. I think that, again, was the direction that we tried to do when we put the new ordinance into effect, with good parameters for the neighbors, because, again, it's the whole case.
Sarah, does the ordinance say that if there is a pending application, that the 10% is tolled until that 10%?
It does not get that specific. That'll be up to our interpretation if and when it happens.
I'm trying to strike a balance that if it is deferred for any amount of time, but someone else comes in and applies during that pendency, that's just the risk that you took.
Well, I can tell you, we've talked about the what ifs, what would happen, and it would be that I think if someone came in, if you deferred this for 2 weeks or 4 weeks and someone came in, we would be checking the block to see if there were any active special exceptions. This one would light up because they have had one in the past and then they have one pending, and we would advise them, hey, listen, this one's at the Board of Adjustment and we don't know what the outcome's gonna be. We're probably gonna not take that application in. But what could happen, and what we've talked about dealing with, which hasn't happened, is if you continued this for 6 months or 9 months and someone came in, then we would advise that new person, hey, this one has a pending application. It's at the Board of Adjustment. It's not scheduled to be heard until such and such a date. And I think we would probably seek legal advice. And my guess would be they would say, accept the application. There's not an active special exception on the block at this time. That's all hearsay. That's not covered in the ordinance. That's just our internal dialogue. We think a lot about home sharing in our office. We talk a lot about it, and we study this code a lot. So that's kind of where we landed if it should happen.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Does somebody want to try and make a motion?
Not yet. If we're going to go over the application, I'll gladly go over the application.
I've got to stay consistent with what we've been doing unless there's additional guideline that comes down. And so the only thing that I can offer is if you want, I would support continuing this for you to get information. And if you can come back, and I know you said you don't know how long it has been or hasn't been operated specifically. That being said, you've heard the discussion about, that 6-month time period. If you feel that there may be a case to be heard that, we've only had bookings for 3 months or something like that, then I would consider a shorter period so that we don't have to do an outright denial.
So what's the information that you want to be identified?
If you can speak to the other members of your group and come back and provide documentation or some proof that this has not been booked out as a short-term rental for more than 6 months, basically. Anything less than 6 months.
But it has been.
Yeah, if it has been, I can't support the application. So that's what I was saying. The only other thing that I can offer is to give you time if you want to confirm it. But if you're telling me that this has been operated as a short-term rental for a period more than 6 months, then I can't support the application today. That's just my vote.
Well, she just said it because she can tell you how long it's been on the Airbnb.
Right, so we know it's been rented for the last 6 months, okay? So we do know that. So basically what we're saying today is that, what Marcus is saying, I would put words in his mouth, but is that your $1,100 application fee that you paid today to get a special exception would be denied. You have 10 days to appeal that. If you weren't to appeal it in 6 months, you can come back here and reapply for a special exception, and your case would then be heard.
All over again, like today.
Yes. But let me just preference that. do not operate as a short-term lease during those 6 months.
Okay, so let me ask you
Do I
this.
get that clear?
When we applied, were we told, and I say we gingerly, told not to operate until the hearing?
No, probably not.
Exactly.
Yeah, but what we just heard from staff earlier is that you all, again, also using loosely, your group was issued notice that your license had expired and that it was time to renew back in 2024, and nobody, whoever was at the helm at that time, took no action to renew it.
Okay, I get that.
So,
But again, so when we started the application, we were not advised to not. So
No,
now
I understand that.
now we're
and-
getting penalized
no,
because you're saying to go back 6 months to a year.
if you want to look at it as being penalized for how it's operated, it wouldn't have anything to do with the time between you applying and then showing up here. It has everything to do between the time that the special exception expired in 2024 and all the time it's been leased after that.
I get that, but that's why we're here now to remedy that, as he says. It's kind of like y'all were talking about car tags. You do car tags and you don't want to renew it, then why would you just be driving out there? Because I work for a law firm, sorry, and they get in a wreck and they have no insurance and no car tag. So here goes the lawsuit.
Yeah, but as stated, the difference in car tags is there's a implement to be
I
able to
get
assign
that.
penalties
I
that we
mean-
can't do here.
So you're wanting to go back to remedy something from a year ago when we're here, present day, trying to fix it.
No, I'm not going back to remedy it. I've got to have a difference between you and the other operators that come here and present to us who, like you, received a notice and said, it's time for us to go and apply, and came in, filled out the paperwork, and came before Board of Adjustment to have a renewal.
So as of today, we're getting denied.
Well, there's not been any, I'm just telling you my position.
Your position.
Yeah, I don't have the ability to do that.
Okay.
Which is different than my position. So know that. I mean, that's why
I get that, but I just
unfortunately
don't
for you
understand
that
how
we're
I
kind
expect
of getting
people to
into the
abide by
weeds.
rules.
Yeah, we're getting into the weeds on your case, but
I
this
get
is
it.
something that has to get hashed out. Does legal have anything for us?
No, not really. These are, I mean, everything that's been brought up is valid in its own right. There's some analogies to certain things like vehicle tags, in a sense. Trying to formulate a penalty when there's not necessarily a penalty in the ordinances and trying, that is not, probably something legal would recommend. I think, what I've heard a lot of good things as far as when an application comes before the board, and the fact that we have people here making timely applications, renewals, and then applying for applications indicates that there is knowledge out there in the wild about this law, and ignorance of the law is not an excuse. And so, but even though there's some analogies to things like car tags, people drive to go to the doctor, to take their kids to school, to do some things that are very necessary, and sometimes there's a risk, cost-benefit analysis that are made. These home shares are a lot of times side businesses where people are making money, off of this, and I've heard conversations about the fees and how much they are. Well, okay, but these are basically businesses that are being ran in the city, in residential areas, and then it leads to some of the issues that were brought up. Some of these rental situations lead to some of the issues that was brought up in the first couple of cases that you heard. And so there's a lot of things at play here, but I think at the end of the day, I think you're stuck with what you have in the ordinance and with what you're able to consider. And I think it's good for the public to hear the conversations and the concerns that the board members have, but then also it gets repeated to you, from there, and so it makes it difficult sometimes when you do get into the weeds after voicing things like this. So I would just encourage you to stick to the language that you have and the powers that you have, which is to, you know, if you want to defer it, defer it. If you want to, you know, I think you've communicated to the applicant, you know, I think she should be clear at this point, you know, where each of you stand, or at least the ones that have spoken. And, you know, if they want to agree to a deferral, they can do that. If they don't, and they want to take their, you know, their shot at not leaving this open, the 10% thing, that's the risk you take, I think, because another person could argue that is filing a new application, and they haven't been out of compliance, they haven't been running basically an illegal home share type of a situation, that they're being punished because now their application is being put on hold while this person is trying to get legal that's been operating illegally for a period of time, but now they get to hold the process up for that block. So I would just encourage you to stick with, you know, the powers that you have and within the language that you have, and be, you know, safely in that harbor.
That would be a change. I'm very mindful of that, that if someone wants to operate one, they buy a home, they fix it up because they want to operate as an Airbnb, but they're being prohibited because of somebody who is being continued to a certain date in the future. That I could see that being an issue. I'm not sure that that's something that we've fully thought out in the past cases that we've deferred them.
We have actually done something a little different rather than defer it. We've approved the case with the idea that they don't operate for the first 3 months of the application, contingent upon. I know you don't like to write that in the board order.
It's just hard to,
Yep. And I mean, it's hard to police, hard to do everything. I'm just trying to get another way down the
I would support that. I think the only hard stop that I have right now is there's a list. I don't know how many names are on the list, but there's absolutely a list of home share applications that we've denied for a period of time because they were operating without special exception. And if those people showed up to the next meeting and said,
not fair.
Mr. Uday, how can you justify this? I would just sit here. And so I can't, out of respect for them, I can't do that.
Well, it's a living document. It's a living board order. We can do our best to be consistent, and I think we always do.
I think we need to remain consistent until we're told otherwise.
Yeah, but
Right.
I mean,
we need help
a lot
from
of
the
things
council.
been implemented, and we've made a lot of different changes. But right,
Because we're trying to read their minds
it
at
is.
this point,
I mean,
their intent.
the council approved the ordinance change that we made as a committee. And
Right.
again, like I said, I mean, we did the best we could do with what we
Right.
had. You can't write an ordinance that covers every single thing, and this is the home share is a very deep issue. I mean, I'd like to, if we're going to do something punitive, approve it with a delayed start, and leaving the applicant themselves up to be the one to fulfill that. If they didn't in a year and we learned differently, they wouldn't get renewed. It at least makes it cleaner.
I'm not sure Sarah
No, they don't like to write the board order that way. I know they don't, but you're not policing it.
I think the more complicated we make things, the more difficult it becomes, and we just create other situations. So we have done that in the past. I think perhaps a deferral is something that's really clear. And, you know, we now have the software to basically check and see whether or not there's been any rentals, and then, you know, that can be explained. So I just thought I would put that out there.
It's the longest one that we've gone is 9 months.
Right. And
that was one time, right?
Yeah, one time. A little problematic. And agree, go back to what Marcus, you said. I mean, 6 months would probably be the limit if it's the same as the denial. I mean, it's how punitive you want to make it. Denial is another application fee. Deferral is a potential problem in multiple other areas, but again, I'm looking at this case and seeing the operator give a valid excuse. What that excuse is what it is, and there are no protests, and so this case in general I move forward with. There's just we weigh them all differently.
I was going to see if Sarah was going to say something.
Also, I like to hear from the applicants sometimes what they are willing to do to rectify it. Sarah?
Sorry, I was just conferring with Cindy about, I think if you're seeking a deferral, I think you need to ask the applicant if they agree. If they don't agree, then I think you'll need to vote. If you're going to vote for a denial, I think you need to cite the section of the code about why you would be denying it. That needs to be clear in the board order about the reason for denial.
Made that a lot harder.
Well, I mean, if it's challenged, you want to be on the
Right,
record
no,
the
I
reason
agree.
for the denial.
Okay, what's everybody looking up? Because I may want to look it up too.
Oh, in the application, it'll tell you the standards for special exception approval. It's 59-4250.I.E.
So what part are they wanting to?
Luckily for us in that it doesn't really bring up compliance.
Yeah. Somebody want to take a stab at a motion?
I mean, I'm willing to continue this for 6 months. That's kind of where I'm leaning.
As the applicant, if we were to defer this or request to defer, well, we would want you to agree to deferring this. If you agreed to deferring this application, we would expect you not to operate it as a short-term lease during that deferral period,
Okay.
or I would.
Well, I get it, what you're saying. But again, everybody wants to be remedied and everybody wants to be in compliance. And I feel like as being here, that's exactly what we're trying to do to move forward. And
Well, I think from what I've said and what you've heard me say, I mean, I'm in agreement with that. We need to get this moving forward and we need to get it resolved, so.
right, we need to turn the page, and I don't feel like we're turning the page.
I mean, does the applicant have to agree? Does the applicant have to agree? No?
Not to the deferral, no.
Okay, then I'm just going to make a
Good
motion to
idea to get them
continue
to
case
agree,
number
but no,
16196, 6 months. What's that date? Looking at April or October. The October 15th, 2026 meeting.
Anybody second that? Can I second a motion? I can't make the motion. Okay. I'll second Robert's motion. Now we can vote. Cast your votes. Okay. Continued to, what was it, October
15th.
15? Okay.
So do you understand that?
So October 15th is another hearing, or there's a deadline date? I
That
guess
is
being a paralegal, I'm trying to figure all this
Right.
out.
That is another hearing date for you. So basically,
At
you've just...
1:30 again?
Yep, you've been pushed from today till then. And I'm going to suggest again for you to not operate that as a short-term lease during that period of time.
And then what proof do we bring in to show you, or she can see it on her
You can see it
Airbnb
online. Yep,
website?
we'll leave that up to staff.
And is that beginning today? So anybody that's in there right now, we have to kick them out?
No. I mean, that's up to you, but I can't tell you what to do with that. I'm just telling you my suggestion about not operating it, but I mean, you have to keep your
Strongly
status. So,
So do we need to redo the whole application again?
no.
No.
That's the purpose of the,
Right.
for the deferral.
Right.
It's in
So you
between
don't
that.
have to pay another application fee and you don't have to redo your application.
We just have to come back and then not rent it out for 6 months?
Yep. And I mean, and I'm not telling you what to do, but
Well,
I
we
know
don't
you
want to
have
come
to
back
keep.
and her be able to see it, and then it get pushed another 6 months with it not being able to rent out.
Right.
So, I mean.
But if
we
you have
basically
somebody
to
in
go
there,
by your
I mean,
rules.
you know, it is what it is. You have someone in there, you have to make your own decisions, but I'm just telling you personally, I'm not kicking anybody out. I have to keep my status as an operator, and, you know, you're weighing it. You're gonna come back in 6 months, you're gonna do your best diligence.
Did we already vote on it?
Ready for the next?
So item number 7, case number 16197, is an application by Jeremy Howell on behalf of Matthew Joseph Brown and Caitlin Swanson to allow home sharing at 1624 Northwest 32nd Street.
Jeremy Howell, 36 West Memorial Road, Suite B2, Oklahoma City. And to kind of set the groundwork for really my next 2 BOE meetings is I had my assistant quit for 4 years and I hired a new one. And we discovered we had a bunch of homes that had expired that I had no idea about. And so the process that we followed was we created a pretty elaborate spreadsheet database to kind of track all this, what's expired. We called Cynthia a bunch, I called emails. And so we came up with, hopefully this works, is I converted all the homes that were not, that were expired to 30-day minimum stays. And then we submit our paperwork, and now I'm here. And so, but all these homes are renewals, and we put 1 year on there, but if I can get 3, that's fine, but I also understand that, you know, I own the company, buck stops with me, and so I'm okay doing a 1 year again, and then come back in a year and doing 3, because, you know, we did go, they did get expired.
And just to make sure that I heard you correctly, and at 1624 Northwest 32nd, this case, you are doing 30-day plus leases until you get your exception again.
We've been doing that for a couple months.
Okay,
Yeah, once
yeah.
I realized, and we started, you know,
Right.
my new guy, we started going into all the homes, and once we discovered it, that was kind of the process that we did. Yeah. Because we had bookings kind of spattered, you know, spread out, so it's almost like you couldn't take more bookings because they all would not be.
No one signed up to speak on this case?
Nobody signed up for this one. Does anyone want to address the board on this application?
Like I said, I'd like to get 3 if I can, but it's okay if I can.
Yeah, well, we can
I
talk
get
about
it.
that at the end. Just to go over the application itself too,
Yeah.
is that it's a 3-bedroom home and you're asking for a maximum of 6 guests?
It's got 2, it's an ADU in the back. We rent both of them. But the first one actually, it sleeps 10, and then that one sleeps 4. but they're two separate houses on the same property.
Okay, so this application at 1624, which
And,
is
I mean, and last year-
16197 is the
and
case
last year
number.
we used the same license for both houses. I don't know if that was, it's just, it's the same address. There's no A and B.
This is a new one.
Okay.
So he has an ADU in the backyard, but he's using both properties as a special exception. So when I looked it up, it said 3 beds, 3 bath, but that didn't have the ADU. So,
Yeah, and it's mostly students and ADUs. We
so
don't do
the-
a lot of
so
short-term
this is
ADUs.
really a 5-bed, 4-bath? Does the
Yeah,
ADU
the
have
house
two-
is a 4-bedroom. It's got 3 bathrooms. It's got 6 beds. And the ADU has a king bed, and the master has a loft upstairs that has a, like 1 bed with like a roll under, like a trundle bed. And it's got 1 bathroom in the ADU. It has a full kitchen and stuff. I guess it,
And you put this on almost all the applications, but this application says 3-bedroom and maximum number of guests 6.
the 16197? Yeah, I don't know, yeah.
So, I mean, we can change that. I just need
Yeah,
to
that's
know
fine.
what's there. And like I said, I did look up the property and it said it was a 3-bedroom home. And there is an ADU in the backyard.
He
which is-
might have put the wrong bed count on there, but I made notes.
So what do you are requesting then for a number of guests?
I mean, 10 in the house and 4 in the ADU.
That's probably not gonna happen.
That's fine, I can change it. I'm here to, whatever you may do. I'm pretty compliant.
Yeah, it's.
You tell me.
It's a single-family home mid-block. It's not a sorority. 10 overall? I mean, Marcus, I'll look at you.
Yeah, the
10
big
people
houses-
mid-block is a lot of people in a house anyway, so. I
That's
mean,
fine. Yeah, I don't do whatever I'm doing.
It's 2 bedrooms in the ADU?
The ADU's got 2
Loft.
bedrooms, yeah. It's
A
got
bed
one
loft.
like legit bedroom, it has like a loft space, like a walkout balcony.
Yeah, and a 4-bedroom.
What was it approved for before?
Huh?
What was the original application? Do you remember?
I don't remember, no. I think it went out of compliance like December, like mid-January, as best we could tell. And I had no idea that all the homes were on OKC Access. Only half our houses were even on there. And so we had to go back and literally check our emails and call you guys, and it was a lot of work.
Yeah. And I'd like to revise the quiet hours to 9 p.m. to 8 a.m.
Yeah, that's fine.
The number of vehicles that can be, so it looks like there's quite a bit of parking along the side and then 2 in the back.
Yeah, it's got a shared driveway, and it's got a big parking spot in the back. It's all labeled and marked of what place gets what spot. Like I said, in
How many,
ADUs,
just so I can put how many in the application?
we've been doing 3 on the house, 3 cars.
3?
Mm. And then 1 for the ADU. Like I said, we try to keep midterm stays in the ADU.
Okay,
It's
that's
just
fine.
easier.
So are we doing 10? Are we doing 8 in the house and 2 in the ADU?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do that.
The house is 3 bedrooms,
It's a 4-bedroom house.
4 bedrooms?
Yeah.
It's got a 4-bedroom and 3 bath, but it's got 1 king, 2 singles, 1 queen, and 2 doubles.
Okay.
6 bedrooms. Or 4 bedrooms.
Yeah,
And no on-street parking?
yeah. It's mid-block. I already looked it up. Listed 3. Yeah, but either way, I could get 3 in the ADU and 7 in the house. Still 10. 2 plus 1 and 3 plus 1.
I'll give you 2 per bedroom plus 1 in the house and 2 plus 1 in the loft. That's 9.
Okay. I'm cool with that.
That's giving plus 1 on both sides.
Yeah.
And I'll support this, but I'll do it as 30 days in the order. Did you say you were leasing this with the 30-day plus?
We changed it months ago.
So you have somebody in there right now as on a long term?
Oh, I have
Longer-
no idea.
longer than
No,
30
we
days.
had bookings, we take bookings 6 months out. And so once I learned the mistake we made, we changed the minimum stay to 30 days, so we couldn't take really any more bookings. But we had people coming and going that we already had booked prior to us knowing this was expired.
Well, I'm asking because what I want to do to rectify the lapse in this is to go ahead and approve it, but just limit the stays to not begin for 30 days after you get the approval. Because you've got a
Short
30
term.
day.
You can keep the 30-day,
Yeah,
For how long?
1 month.
For 30 days.
Okay, that's fine. So a month from today, I can unlock it. That's fine. And we'll follow it just probably across the board, because these are all the same way. Okay. So 9 for the house, 4 ADU, and then I'll keep it for 3 more days for 30 more
well,
days.
no,
No? 9 total?
6
Yes.
for the house? Is that-
7 for the
7 for the
house.
house,
It's
3
a
in the ADU.
4-bedroom. Even if you do 2 times 2, that's 8.
Sorry, I got math wrong earlier.
Okay.
That's right.
Well, so you're saying the house is a 4-bedroom. When I looked it up, it says 3. That was
On
the
the
difference.
listing?
On this, yeah, on the listing on this property.
On Airbnb? On Airbnb or just
No.
application?
Yeah, no, right, on the county, to find out how many bedrooms it had.
Oh, okay, then I could be wrong. I just wrote the notes down from the listing.
I got 3 beds, 3 bath, 2,036 square feet. I mean, big house only had
Yes,
3
they do.
bedrooms, but that's just what it said.
Okay.
So 7 and 3,
Yeah.
10 total?
Yeah, 10 total.
Okay.
All right, see if we can make a motion for this. Motion to approve case number 16197 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the requested special exception with the following modifications. Total number of guests shall be 10, 7 in the house, 3 in the ADU. Quiet hours from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m., 3-car maximum. No on-street parking. 4-car maximum. Oh, yes, 3 for the house, 1 for ADU. Okay, 4-car maximum. No on-street parking for a term of 1 year beginning May 16th, 2026.
Can you do that on the board order as far as that, so that'd be like a 13-month term? I think.
You know, there's a 10-day appeal time.
Right, I think you approve it today with a contingency that they operate after. Costs them a month and they start operating 30
Yeah,
days
that's
in.
the easiest way to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so approve it for 13 months?
No.
No.
Approve it for 12 months?
Yes.
Okay,
With the first 30 days as a 30-day rental.
okay.
Was a 1-year renewal. They'll come
1-year
back in a
renewal.
year, and then you get 3. Okay.
And I know you'll come back within, and I know you'll start it before that date, so.
Yes.
It takes
Yeah,
2
no,
months to get this through.
We have a database now.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Cast your votes. You're approved.
Item number 8, case number 16198 is an application by Jeremy Howell on behalf of 1700 Plaza LLC to allow home sharing, 1704 Northwest 17th Street, Unit 101.
These next are just 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartments. They have like a garage, it's not a garage, but it has a gate and assigned parking spots. Each one's got 2 parking spots.
You only want 4 here?
What's that?
I
Yeah,
see.
it's just 4. Yeah, there's two queen beds, 1 each bedroom. Each one's got its own bathroom.
So just revise the quiet hours to 9 PM to 8 AM,
Okay. What's it say now?
10,
Okay.
so. And the term would be a year. Did anyone sign up to speak?
Nobody signed up. Is there anyone who wants to address the board on this application? Okay, I think we're ready.
Just say no quiet, or no parking during quiet hours. Because they park on both sides of the street here.
This will be the same 30-day wait.
Yeah,
for Borough.
and the 30-day wait.
30-day wait. And just for clarification, the 30-day wait starts today, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into the 10-day thing yet.
All right. Motion to approve then, case number 16198 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the special exceptions with the following modifications. Quiet hours from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. for a term of 1 year. No on-street parking during quiet hours and imposing an initial 30-day wait.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Now cast your votes. You're approved.
Item number 9, case number 16199 is an application by Jeremy Howe on behalf of 1700 Plaza LLC to allow home sharing, 1704 Northwest 17th Street, Unit 102.
Same
And
announcement.
exact setup, yep.
Okay.
And I'll change the quiet hours.
There's no one signed up on this one. Does anyone want to address the board on this? Okay, I think we're good.
This property's in Wheeler District, it has a garage.
It's right across the hall from the other one.
And it's
Yeah.
accessible.
Yeah, there's the parking spot to the left. There's a gate they have to go through.
Yeah, I just want to put it in the application, that way when you put it
I
in,
don't think it's the Wheeler district, though, is it? It's much further east than the Wheeler. But
which one? Oh, no, we don't. Oh, sorry, I'm one ahead of you. I already did the other apartment. I'm ahead.
long day.
Same deal? All right. Motion to approve then case number 16199 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the special exceptions with the following modifications. Quiet hours from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m., no on-street parking during quiet hours for a term of 1 year and an initial 30-day wait.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. You're approved.
Item number 10, case number 16200 is an application by Jeremy Howe on behalf of Stephen Joseph Carr and Michelle Carr to allow home sharing, 1728 Runway Boulevard.
This one's never been Airbnb. It's actually long-term rented, but he wanted to just keep it compliant in case he wanted to change that. That it was licensed, but we're just gonna get a continuance, but it's not even listed at all, so.
Okay. And does anyone want to address the board on this application? Okay.
4-bedroom home, 8 maximum guests.
Yeah, I don't even been in
Change the
there.
quiet hours from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m., sorry. And this is the one, this is the Wheeler, so you can use the garage.
Yeah, like I said, we don't use it at all right now, so
Yeah.
it's just a long-term guy in there.
And they park on the street in Wheeler, so 1-year term.
You said it has not been
No.
rented out at all?
No.
Okay. So quiet hours, 1-year term, so dealing changes?
But yeah, he said one person in there for 2.5 years.
Okay.
And they're just, again, they signed a whole new year, so it'd be at least a year before it even goes Airbnb or not.
All right, then I will make a motion to approve case number 16200 for the purpose that it meets statutory requirements for the requested special exceptions with the following modifications. Quiet hours will be changed from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. and for a term of 1 year.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. You're approved.
Item number 11, case number 16201 is an application by Jeremy Howe on behalf of Flamingo Holdings LLC to allow home sharing, 1844 Northwest 23rd Street.
It's a 1-bed, 1-bath apartment on 23rd Street, so pretty simple. It's got 1 parking spot. There's no designated or assigned parking spots.
And again, no one signed up. Does anyone want to address the board on this application?
Does he have a long-term leaser in there?
We've had a student there for a while. Shows no activity, that's why.
And they have 1 designated parking lot, or parking spot in the lot? Good with changing the quiet hours, 9 p.m.,
I'll change
8
it.
a.m.?
Right. All right, make a motion to approve case number 16201 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the special exception with the following modifications. Quiet hours are adjusted to be 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. and for a term of 1 year and no 30-day window, right? Okay, all right. Term of 1 year.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Now cast your votes. You're approved.
Item number 12, case number 16202 is an application by Jeremy Howell on behalf of 2201 Northwest 13th LLC to allow home sharing at 2201 Northwest 13th Street.
Okay, no one signed up on this. Does anyone want to address the board on this application? Okay.
So this is a 5-bedroom, 3-bath,
It's 4. It's got an ADU on it also.
an ADU in the back.
Yeah, if you see that little,
In the back, yeah.
The very north, has a detached garage, has an apartment above it.
You have it listed as 5,
Yeah, that'd be the.
but it'll maximum guests on 8.
Okay.
Good with changing the quiet hours?
Yes, sir.
9 PM to
Happy
8 AM. The driveway can hold 3 vehicles?
Yes, it can. There's actually a parking, the garage apartment has 2 spots in front of it too.
Yeah, the whole backyard's paved.
Yeah.
3 or 4?
4 cars max?
That's fine, yeah.
No on street.
Yeah, no on street.
And guest count still the same?
What's that?
8, maximum number of guests.
8?
Yeah, he's fine.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion then to approve case number 16202 for the purpose that it meets the statute.
You got a long-term tenant in this one?
So almost all the places we have ADUs, we put long-term or midterm students in those.
Well, as long as you got a long-term in this one, then we don't have it, so you got a long-term?
Not in the house, but doing the house I do right now. Yeah, the house has got one.
Okay,
Yeah.
then, yeah,
No 30 day?
no 30-day.
Okay. Motion to approve case number 16202 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the special exception with the following modifications. Maximum number of guests shall be 8, quiet hours from 9 PM to 8 AM, 4-car maximum, no on-street parking, and for a term of 1 year.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. You're approved.
Item number 13, case number 16203, is an application by Jeremy Howell on behalf of 2935 Northwest 19th LLC to allow home sharing at 2935 Northwest 19th Street.
This is one of the ADU homes, but it's had students in both of them for a while. The main house is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house, and ADU is just a 1-bedroom. It's like a little tiny home thing, with a kitchenette.
You're only asking for 6?
Yes, sir.
Good with changing the quiet hours from 9 PM to 8 AM?
Yep.
Maximum number of vehicles, you put 2 in the driveway and 1 on the side, or well, 2
Yeah,
in the drive.
that's all you can fit, is 30.
Does anyone want to address the board on this application? I don't have anybody signed up. Okay.
And you said you have long-term tenants in this as well?
I've had them for a little while, yeah.
Ready?
Ready.
All right. Make a motion to approve case number 16203 for the purpose that it meets statutory requirements for the special exceptions with the modification that maximum number of guests shall be 6, quiet hours from 9 PM to 8 AM, 3-car maximum for a term of 1 year.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. You're approved.
Thank you.
Think so.
Item number 14, case number 16204 is an application by Mr. Nugent to allow home sharing located at 1133 Northwest 32nd Street.
Hi, my name is An Nguyen, and my address is 1133 Northwest 32 Street. Thank you. I'd like to home share.
No one signed up to speak on this application. Does anybody want to address the board on this application? Nope.
Sarah, are we good on rental?
Correct, there's no rental history for this address on Rentalscape.
Thank you.
So it's a 4-bedroom home?
Yes.
4-bed, 3-bath.
3 bath.
So would you be good with the maximum number of guests to be 9?
Okay.
It'd be 2 per bedroom plus 1. And then add quiet hours from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. to the
Yes.
application.
Yes.
It's a shared driveway,
Yes.
so
It's,
3 vehicles probably.
no, at least 5, all the way in and 2 out, something like 5.
Yeah, 1 out because the way that sidewalk is. So can we go with 4?
4.
And the term would be 1 year.
Thank you.
On-street parking? No on-street parking?
During quiet hours.
Sure.
Huge parking lot across the street.
I'll make a motion then to approve case number 16204 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the special exceptions with the modifications that maximum number of guests shall be 9, quiet hours from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m., a 4-car maximum, no on-street parking during quiet hours, and for a term of 1 year.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. You're approved.
Thank you.
Item number 15, case number 16205 is an application by James Condry on behalf of Jackson Hollow Investments LLC to allow home sharing at 913 Northwest 44th Street.
Hello, my name is Clay Condry. I'm the owner of the house. I'm here for renewal.
Timely renewal.
Okay, no one signed up to speak on this one. Does anyone want to address the board on this application? Okay.
So just to go over the application a little bit, it is a 4-bedroom home. You want a maximum of 8 guests?
Yep. Yeah, so 4-bedroom, I think it's 3-bathroom, 3.5 bath, 3.5 bath. We've got a pool. It's in a neighborhood that's dense now, at least on this street and the next street, with, I guess you could say, high value, new single family. We haven't had any issues. It's done really well. I was in front of you guys, I don't know, 4 months ago with another house where we had all kinds of people that were angry before we opened, and I tried to point to this one, you know, as a example of how we'd manage it. That one is about to go online though, so we'll see how the other one does.
You asked for 2 years. You willing to accept 3?
I would love 3. If
We
you
will, yeah, on a renewal that doesn't have any protests or anything, we'll go up to 3.
That'd be nice.
And the cars, I mean, you could put, let's just say 4 with 8 people.
Yeah, we can fit, I think, because I've got to pull in
Yeah, 2 in that and 4 in the,
2 in the garage. I mean, you could fit a bunch of cars in the driveway, but
let's just say 6 and no on-street parking.
yeah,
I know you have a pool, I just don't want a whole lot of people parked all over during the day.
Yeah, I've been pretty strict on, they have to request a book, and if they can't tell me everybody that's staying there, then we just don't let them do it. Give up some occupancy for
Neighbors' peace and mind.
Yeah.
Ready? All right, I'm also going to change quiet hours. Motion to approve case number 16205 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the special exceptions with the following modifications. Quiet hours are adjusted to be 9 p.m. to 8 a.m., 6-car maximum, no on-street parking, and for a term of 3 years.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. You're approved.
Thank you.
Item number 16, case number 16206 is an application of Dragon Nest Rentals LLC to allow home sharing at 2025 Northwest 21st Street.
Hi, my name is Long Tran. I'm here to present Dragon Nest Rentals to asking for a renewal for the special exception for my home, 2025 Northwest 21st Street.
We've got folks signed up to speak on this one.
I'd say let's hear from them.
Okay. Matthew Gillian, come on up.
My name is Matthew Gilliam. I live at 2021 Northwest 21st Street. I'm the next door neighbor of the Airbnb, so we share a fence line. Just to give an idea of this street, we have multiple children playing. My neighbor on the other side has a daughter named Frankie, and she runs down the street to play with Eli, my other neighbor's son. And then there's two very young children that like to play soccer with their parents in the front yard, 2 doors down. So it's kind of a very active street. And I feel like I feel like it would be safer if there wasn't a stranger coming in every other day to rent out the house on the other side of my street, to rent out the house 1 door over. Also, it was mentioned that the decay of the house is a kind of a high priority. The fence line that we share, I own this house for maybe a little shy of a year now. And there was a branch, a pretty large branch, that fell onto the fence, and it looks to me like it did damage to the fence, but it's on their side, and it's like in between the fence line and their shed, and it's been there for, well, I mean, it's been there before I bought the house, so, and then there's ivy that's growing along the fence into my into my yard, so just that kind of gives an idea of the decay in the backyard. I mean, they do mow the front yard, so I mean, front yard's fine. However, there's been 3 parties, pretty big parties, over the year I've owned this house. One of the, like, we could be inside and we just hear screaming on the other side outside during these parties. And yeah, one of the parties, there was a fight. It's something about, get your hands off my man, or I don't know, and it spilled over into the street, and it was within 10 feet of my wife's car, because we have to park, or we just like to park on the drive, or on the street sometimes. Yeah. I think that might be, well, and I'd also like to say that it's kind of hard to get to these meetings, especially when you have like I'm lucky because I have a flexible job, but in general, I feel like if more people had a job like mine where I can come in, we'd see more people here kind of testifying against Airbnbs for their next door. Yeah, I just want to, have some empathy for the people that can't make it out here. And yeah, that's kind of, parking. One of the one that was most recent, the street, this is an older neighborhood. This house was made in 1927, so just shy, or like 1 year shy of a century. These streets aren't like ultra wide compared to like if you go to Houston where you can park willy-nilly in the street. So last time that there was a party, there was people parked on both sides, bumper to bumper, and depending on your car, I don't even think of like a Ford F-150 could make it through that. I mean, I have a smaller car, I don't have a giant truck, but it was really tight if you had a truck going through there. Yeah, I guess that's all my points I wanted to make, so thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan Epstein.
Hi, my name is Dan Epstein, no relation. I just want to say before I have any other remarks, I really appreciate being able to hear the discussion on these issues. I really do. I live at 2024 Northwest 21st Street, directly across the street from the property in question. Let's talk about parties. A week ago Saturday, there was a prom party at this location, which involved well over a dozen vehicles parked on both sides of the street, getting really close to the driveways. I would say there were 50 to 60 people at this party and a horse. I have nothing against horses. It was kind of fun to see the horse in the neighborhood, but I only bring this up to point out that regardless of rules, accommodation rules that people have for these properties, they have no way to control what actually happens. The people who own this property, and I think they've owned it since 2021, I think they've done, I think the property was purchased for the purpose of flipping. They rehabbed the house, put it on the market, and when they couldn't sell it, they turned it into an Airbnb. The very first guests who were there, the police and ambulance were required. So, and the people at this prom party, they were just, they were kind of spilling all over the neighborhood. They were onto my property. I talked to them. They were very nice people. I have nothing against the people. Again, the issue for me is the ability of the operator to really enforce rules. The operator hasn't made any attempt to talk to the neighbors to provide them with a way to contact them directly. The only way I was ever able to contact them in one case was to get on Airbnb and write a message. After that, I was given the phone number, but nobody else in this, in the 300-foot zone or on the block has any way of getting a hold of the operator directly. And so on behalf of myself and the residents of 2017 Northwest 21st Street, which is the house directly next to Matt's house, I would really hope that you deny this application for renewal. Thank you.
You said that party was this past weekend?
It was a week ago this Saturday.
A week ago? And
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the other party that was mentioned earlier?
I'm sorry, can you speak up?
Are you familiar with the other party that was mentioned earlier?
Yeah, some. Because our bedroom is in the back of the house, sometimes I don't hear stuff. But what have I called about? I've called about people parking on the lawn of the property. I've called about people, the tenants, the temporary tenants, throwing beer cans around the neighborhood. And when I did call,
Who did you call?
about that.
Who did you call?
Well, I got on Airbnb and messaged the operator. That's again, at the time, that was the only way I had to communicate.
Let me give you a phone number to call. Oklahoma City Action Center.
Okay, I wrote my, that was another question I had. I actually wrote to my council person, Jo Beth Hammond, to ask how I would go about doing that. And she said she had somebody on staff who could help me things kind of calmed down, and I wasn't really thinking about it.
But if you don't call the Action Center, then we don't have a citation to put against the application.
I understand.
So that's why I was saying,
Okay,
call
well,
the Action Center.
I appreciate that. I don't, that really, nobody really made me aware of that. And as far as I have a question on this item. It says Ward 2. Do you really mean Ward 2? Because it's Ward 6. In fact, several of these, like a couple of the other, like Mr. Howell's applications, all said Ward 2. They're in the Gatewood neighborhood. They're in Ward 6. I don't know if it's a different ward system for this, for you guys or what.
It's the same. It's just the ward lines have moved lately, and so.
Okay. Well, if anything else happens, I'll be happy to call the Action Center. I am relating to you my experiences.
Did you get a chance to speak to the applicant when you got that phone number?
No, I've never spoken directly. Now, when the tenant leaves, somebody comes around 11 o'clock in the morning. I know this not because I'm like a nosy spy guy. I work at home. I'm at home all the time. So when the tenant leaves, somebody comes in to do the cleanup and refurb. And I have said hello. With the beer can thing, I did say thank you because I think he came out and did it, or they were going to contact the guests. So, I said thank you for doing something. But that's the only, aside from, like a wave or anything like that, that's the only direct contact I've ever had.
Was the number that you were given the number, do you know if the number you were given was?
I don't have it.
He didn't call him, yeah.
Oh, okay,
He
sorry.
just emailed.
Gotcha.
Any other questions?
No.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So regarding on the parties, last year, whenever I acknowledge the party, I terminate the staying right away, and they move out the next morning. So I was able to fix the problems. So, and it just happened whenever they have like the graduation party, something like that. And then after the first party, graduation, I banned any party after that. And then it just happened a couple of times, but after that, I blocked all those guests who had a party before, and I contacted Airbnb, and I reported to the Airbnb apps to support to ban them from now on to no booking on Airbnb. So I took action after those happened.
Well, an action afterwards for your neighbors isn't the greatest solution. So what I'd like for you to do is give your contact information to your neighbors, the two that are here and the other neighbors surrounding it, if we're gonna even look to approve the application. It's a 2-bedroom home. Maximum number of people in that house are supposed to be 4.
Yes.
Pretty simple to keep it from being a party.
Yes, I do have only 4 guests staying at the house, but I cannot control who
Yes, you
visit them. Who visit them, but they leave afterward. They don't stay overnight or anything like that.
Maximum number of people in that home is 4.
Okay. Yes. I'll check that in.
Doesn't have overnight, nothing. It's the maximum number of guests that can be in that home. It's 1,378 square feet. It's not big enough for a party. So again, as the operator, it's up to you to manage this. If we're going to renew it, and this is a timely renewal.
After those incidents, I do install the surveillance camera to watch over the property.
So if you have cameras and you know you're watching over the property, and 2 weeks ago you had a party with a horse, did you stop it?
Well, I didn't see the horse. I only I'm not sure what kind of, which.
Okay, did you see a party? And it doesn't matter. Just talk to us. Just talk to us.
Yeah, but on the camera, we only saw the front of the driveway and the front yard. We don't see any that past the driveway. So we don't see any horse inside the house, inside the driveway, thing like that. And then, yeah. I mean, I didn't say it didn't happen. I said I didn't see it.
Just talk to us. Yeah. Just talk to us. Thanks.
Yeah.
But you saw the guests from the prom party?
I'm sorry?
Were you able to see all of the guests on the camera that were there for the party?
I don't see the party. I don't see people coming in and coming out. And then I texted them on the Airbnb app. I said, no people coming in, coming out. Just don't disturb the neighbor privacy. And
Well, sometimes when you're trying to vet your customer, they don't tell you the truth. And so you have to, as the operator.
Yeah, I do call the police to come and stop people coming in, coming out. And then I did come out a couple of times to stop them as well.
You're talking about for the party last Saturday?
Not last Saturday.
So
but,
was today the first time that you learned that there was a party last Saturday?
yeah, this is the first time I saw that. I heard that.
So I'm going to assume that the camera system that you have is not sufficient. It's not the neighbor's responsibility to report that there's a party, especially if you've taken measures to make sure that you can see what's happening at your property ahead of time.
I mean, I don't have the camera inside the house, but I do see people coming in and coming out of the house, so I can count how many people coming in and coming out. So when I see like different faces, more than 4 faces that look strange to me, I text the guests right away that we do not have more than 6 or 5 guests at the house. So I'm not yeah.
Well, it's a little worrying to me that there was a party that took place and the camera system wasn't sufficient to provide the applicant knowledge of that party.
So, again, I mean, I'd like to see, you're managing this property?
Yes.
You own it and you're managing it?
Yes.
I'd like to see something more. So there's noise monitors that you can purchase that would notify you if the decibel level got above a certain level. I need more proactive management of the property than what I'm seeing today for me to extend the special exception. And that's because your neighbors are here telling me what they see and how they're living their life through, so.
Come up to the podium.
Come back up to the, come on back up to the podium.
Sorry. I'm not opposed to Airbnbs, not at all. I think what I and other neighbors would really like is if the property was simply turned into a long-term rental. The house directly next to yours just got rented as a long-term rental. I think you could do it. Thank you.
Okay.
So you needed, to get my vote, you'd need to tell me how you're going to operate this in a better way.
I'm going to hire more people to look into it, more people to manage it. I'm not going to manage it, the house by myself anymore. I'm going to hire more people to watch over the property, and whenever my neighbor contact me, I will definitely solve the problem right away.
Well, having a property manager would be a benefit to you, I believe, too, and,
Yes.
just diligence.
I'd like to continue for 2 weeks, let him get a property manager, have the property manager come back.
Did you hear what he just said?
Yes, I heard what you said.
What do you think about that?
Yes, I do agree.
Okay.
There's a lot of property managers that are very familiar with this process, and they've earned our trust over the years. So definitely look into start there. I'm going to make a motion to continue 16206 to the, where are we? May 7th. Is that our next?
Okay.
Yep.
So May 7th, 2026 meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to continue. Cast your votes.
Thank you.
We'll see you back on May 7th, right?
I'm sorry, what day?
May 7th.
May 7th.
Item number 17, case number 16207, is an application for a special exception by Curran Fudge of 39P LLC to allow home sharing, 3915 North Avenue.
Afternoon. It's been a long afternoon. I appreciate the discussion as well. My name is Jeff Sabin. I'm representing Curran Fudge. I'm with the Center for Economic Development Law, 301 North Harvey, Suite 200. So this item and the next item are 2 units in the same apartment complex. It's a 3-building apartment complex called the Grayson Apartments. It was an office to residential complete rehab and conversion project that finished construction in 2024. There's currently 1 active special exception on the property for a 2-bedroom unit, Unit 5A, that expires in October 2027. There were previously 2 other special exceptions for 2 studio units on the 2nd floor and on the middle building of the apartment complex, Units 7B and 9B. They expired late last year. Through that initial 1-year operating period for those special exceptions, the owner really found that there was more demand for home sharing for the 2-bedroom units, the 2-bedroom unit, especially because it was on the ground floor, so it's more ADA accessible. And they had an easier time finding long-term tenants for their 1-bedroom and studio units. There are a total of 20 units and 30 bedrooms in the complex. And so Unit 3A is a 2-bedroom unit, ADA accessible on the 1st floor in the easternmost building. And I know the board usually gives, this is technically a new application because it's a new unit that has not previously had a special exception, but they were hoping for purposes of the term of years to get a 3-year extension and basically treating this as a swap out of units between the 2 studio units and the 2-bedroom units. The general rules that they would like to impose on guests. They don't accept any listings for less than 2 nights. I know it says 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., and I know you probably want that switched based on previous discussion to 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. I think they'd be okay with that. Each unit within the complex has designated parking spaces in their parking lot that's within a gated area. And they actually require the guest to videotape or send a picture of their license plate to make sure they're in the appropriate parking spot. They would propose no more than 4 guests, which is 2 per bedroom at any given time. That's pretty much it. So 3 years potentially, if you guys are okay with that. Otherwise, if 1 year is all you can do, since it's technically a new application, that's also workable.
I got one signed up for this one. Jeff Sabin?
Yes, that's me.
Sorry, you didn't need to sign up.
Sorry, I wrote underneath representing the applicant, sorry.
Then,
And we do have the property manager here as well, Eric Vivros, if you guys have specific questions.
right?
So you're good with revising the quiet hours? It's a 2-bedroom unit with maximum of 4 guests?
Yes. In fact, I think on the previous special exceptions and the current one, that also has the 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. Quiet hours on the order.
I'm just gonna stick with 1 year on this one too. Don't
Mhm.
know who the neighbors are, and it's the first time this one being short-term leased.
1 year, quad hours, 2 car max?
Two spots per unit?
Yeah, each unit has a designated 2 spaces if it's 2 units,
Okay.
1 space if it's a 1 unit. And it's marked in the pictures, I think, were from the construction period for the parking lot, but since then, it's been actually marked for which unit.
Good? All right, make a motion then to approve case number 16207 for the purpose that it meets statutory requirements For the special exceptions with the following modifications, this will be for a term of 1 year, quiet hours from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. and 2-car maximum.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Cast your vote. You're approved.
Item number 18, case number 16208, is an application by Curran Fudge of 39P LLC to allow home sharing, 3923 North Pennsylvania Avenue, Unit 17C.
Again, Jeff Saban with Center for Economic Development Law, representing the applicant Kern Fudge. Everything I just mentioned about the previous application, ditto this one, but this is on the western building within the complex. And we're okay with all the same restrictions.
Okay. Nobody else signed up on this one. Does anyone want to address the board on this application?
Same?
Same.
Make a motion then to approve case number 16208 for the purpose that it meets statutory requirements for the special exception, with the modifications that this will be for a term of 1 year, quiet hours from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. and a 2-car maximum.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. You're approved.
Thank you all.
I don't have any additional items. We don't have any committees. Anybody want to say anything? Counselor?
No, sir.
Citizens to be heard, looks like none. I don't have any other business. We're adjourned.